Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Hope you enjoyed your 5-week off break because it is time for us to give you more coverage of the WSSR Cup Series, now going to be known as the WSSR VRS Cup Series. Season 11 is upon us in race number 1. They said, hey, let's run it back. We are back to Atlanta Motor Speedway for race number 1, the mile-and-a-half super speedway course where drivers are going to be on top of one another all night long, and it's an exciting place to start the season. And we are so excited to give you all the coverage once again here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth, as always, we're hoping for this season, is going to be Richard Wolsifer. And Richard, coming off of last season, an incredible run to the end. The battle between John Forbes Jr. and Cedric Hunter for the championship ultimately went to the 11. But now it's time to reset it. We've got a new season and a new crown to put on.
Yeah, a new season and a fantastic last race of last season between those two drivers. Watching every position they gained and lost, trying to watch every point they were gaining, and eventually just ended up going to John Forbes. And based on this league and what they do, John Forbes will be rocking the number 1 car this season as he was last season's champion. So it'll be great to see if he can come back and go back-to-back and defend his title here in season 11 with the joining of VRS to sponsor the league, which is an awesome thing to see.
VRS is going to be our new title sponsor, otherwise known as the Virtual Racing School. VRS's main goal to help you hit your potential in sim or beyond. We love the fact that VRS is partnering up with the WSSR this season, and to see the ways that they're willing to completely help this league out is awesome to see. We also want to say thank you to returning sponsors of GTR Simulators, Trophy Smack, as well from us over here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We're having the joint operations with Whiplash Sim Cams, which are going to be our camera providers for this season. We also have another new sponsor tagging on board this season. It is Sim Precision Prints. We'll talk more about VRS, Sim Precision Prints, as well as Trophy Smack and GTR Simulators later on in the broadcast, as drivers still have about a minute and a half left in practice. Looking at the numbers, we're getting very close. We are in the 40 marker of drivers registering up for tonight's race. Richard, if we have more than 43 drivers, we will have someone missing out on tonight's race. So we're keeping an eye out as qualifying is right around the corner. We could have some knockout qualifying very shortly.
Yeah, and actually just looking at the driver list right now for this race, there is a total of 43 drivers currently in the server ready to race. So this is going to be a full field, and to start the season off at typical super speedway racing that we usually see a lot of leagues start, but they're going to the Atlanta layout, the new one, the super speedway version of Atlanta Motor Speedway. And this is going to be a very tight pack of racing, a lot of passing. This track has really become such a delight to see, especially with these drivers, and it's going to be exciting to see who can make their way to the front or who's going to be doomed with the big one later in the race.
And with us seeing all these drivers showing up, we've got some new names that we have not been able to see here on WSSR at all. So we're going to have a couple of drivers joining the rookie class. We've got a total of 5 that are going to be racing here tonight. Keep your eyes out for the number 4 of Colin Carroll, going to be seeing their attempt here tonight, as well as the 22 of Colby. We'll also be seeing the 35 of Pete Tart. Now, we do believe that there might have been a mishap on his number. I believe he was supposed to run the number 40 here tonight, but on our ticker board, he'll be under the number 35 this evening. If you've been watching on Monday nights for the ISRC Truck Series, you'll recognize this name. Running the 71, Nico Garcia, going to be attempting racing here this evening. He'll be partnering up with Shane Terrian, and as well we will be having the 82 of Major out on track. Those are your 5 rookies to watch out for. We also got a couple of different teams, but we'll touch on them later because it is qualifying. It is the tone setter who is going to start off the season starting on top. Richard, what are the big factors these drivers are looking for to start off qualifying here this season?
Maintain your speed. The best way is get that momentum around the outside of the track. Keep that speed as high as you possibly can. Any kind of twitch in the steering wheel when you're trying to overcorrect can scrub off hundredth of a second, which could really decimate your qualifying run. That can really determine whether you're in the top 5 starting position or back in the 20th starting position. Because these guys, they will qualify really close to each other. As we ride along right now with the 88 of Drew Jua, or not Drew Jewett, yeah, Drew Jua right there in the number 88 machine. But yeah, it's a different number card number right there for him. But what Drew Drew right now is he's going to ride along the outside, get that momentum going up, try to get that car as fast as he possibly can to get that chance to get that pole position and that extra point to start off his championship run.
Drew Jewett last season ran the 88 machine. This season, switching over to the 77. Obviously, painter-wise, might have forgotten the switch up, but seeing drivers on what they're picking for this season, we might have different mix-ups on drivers and numbers. We know early in the season, sometimes we can have those mishaps. Also, with us saying some of the rookies' names, we might get those mixed up. But topping the board, first couple of laps are tacking in. Returning driver Brad Delph in the 72, currently top of the board on the first lap with a 31.681. Take that back. It's now Tyler Dangler in the 19, taking the top of the board. Ben Keeney now going to move up into second. That 98 machine of Ben, interesting note, he is now no longer driving by himself. He will be affiliated with the Lucky Ducks Motorsports drivers. So it's exciting to see that 98 finally find a team to work with. As we're seeing now the top of the board swapping back and forth. It's your last season's champion of John Forbes Jr. top of the board for himself, as Drew Jua would love to steal that top spot, and the 77 will with a 31.214.
Drew Jua topping the board of the 31.214, besting John Forbes, last season's champion. But these, like I said, 100th, that is a, what is it, 1,300th of a difference of a second between Drew Jua and John Forbes. These drivers, their times are right on top of each other. There's 1,000th of a second between third and fourth, and 3,000ths of a second between fourth and fifth. So these drivers, they found the speed at this track. It's just trying to figure out where you can get those extra thousands or hundredths to best the person in front of you. But looks like majority of the field is about done with their qualifying, and it looks like Drew Jua will potentially be our pole sitter to start season 11.
Still a couple of more drivers still out there on track trying to find that extra pace. Your Shane Terrian in the 9 machine, hoping to find a good pace with a new scheme, as he's got a sim wrap number 9 trying to top the board. If you've been watching us with WSSR and Shane's career in iRacing, he's one of the very few drivers that doesn't race with the wheel. He races with the controller, and he's using all of his abilities with the triggers on his controller, using the joystick to try to keep this vehicle, keep the momentum, keeping the pace. He currently on that first lap was 40th best and only able to move up to 26th position. Here's some other fast drivers to keep note of. It's just going to be Douglas Newbegin in the 7. Other drivers also waiting to see their final times. Going to be Joshua Corner, Mark Morales, Ryan Kelly, as Douglas Newbegin's first lap is going to be 43rd fastest. That's the slowest so far of anyone. But Richard, here comes the final dash to the end of qualifying.
Yeah, Douglas Newbegin going for that second lap fast time. He rode the outside, got the momentum up for that car. He's coming around turn 3 or 4, looking really smooth, keeping that car planted on that inside line. A little bit of a bounce there out of 4, but he's going to cut the front stretch here and come across the line. And his time will be a 31.238. Not enough to get the pole, but that will start him in the top 10.
As other drivers were also getting their laps in, Ryan Kelly bounces up to 3rd for the 3 machine. Last season's pole sitter for this race, Larry Yingling, coming up shy. He'll take 7th on the board, but that will finish up qualifying. Everyone has done their 2 laps under these 5 minutes, and that is going to be a great start for Drew Jua, who takes the pole time for the 77 on our ticker board. Going to be the 88 out on track when you're watching. And Richard, I mean, start of the season, starting well with qualifying is going to be an important key, but tonight's race, 150 laps. We have a stage break at the end of lap 30. This is going to be a quick first 30 laps, but this is going to be so important to see for those that start off well here tonight with qualifying.
Yeah, this first stage is really going to depend on what drivers want to focus on what. They're either going to try to get up to that top 10, get those extra bonus points, or they're just going to sit in the back and kind of survive and wait for the longer green flag run to before they start making their moves, because you can't finish a race if the car's not repaired or, in good shape. So, just got to see what strategies these drivers want to take and who wants to be aggressive to get up to that top 10 in those first 30 laps.
As the warm-up session begins, this is our usual time that we take a closer look at points, the schedule, and kind of get our thoughts on how tonight's race could go, and also have our pick'ems of our favorite drivers to watch out for tonight. We're just going to be kind of an overall look at this season. We're going to take a look at our first 5 races of the season we're having, starting off tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Next week we head to Rockingham, then Dover, Texas, and then a brand new track. We're heading to Portland International Raceway for their full course circuit. It's going to be a fun first start of the race, Richard. 5 races, 5 very different dynamics that these drivers have to test with.
Yeah, very good variety of tracks to start this season out. It's really going to test these drivers and figure out, who's really better at all the tracks around about, the better rounded out drivers. So, because some drivers are better at your intermediate tracks and they'll get a lot of momentum if there's back-to-back tracks like that. But, they're going from a super speedway to a short track to another semi-short track to an intermediate, then a road course. So it's a great mix of tracks that test these drivers and keep them on their toes for the beginning part of the season.
It certainly will, as we talked about the fact of John Forbes going to be taking on that first, that number 1 number for this season. Curious on how he's feeling comfortable taking that number. We saw Zach Hall being the first driver to take that position of saying, you know what, we're going to change the rules. I took the championship back in season 9, season 10. I'll rock with the number 1. Found some poor luck. John Forbes, he's been known for shattering curses. I'm curious if this is a start of a new one of having the championship curse of taking the number 1 number. Tonight could be a starting place for John Forbes to prove you're doing well, and that number isn't going to be a curse to worry about. But I know with this being a super speedway, especially Atlanta, this is a tough track just to make passes, let alone any big moves. As here's our pre-race look at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's a 1.5 mile course, 4 corners, current lane time in sim, middle of the day. So this track could heat up with the track temp starting at 89 Fahrenheit. Air temperature going to be at 74, and the wind pretty mild around that 5 miles per hour window. We'll see it go up and down, but 5 seems to be the baseline. Richard, looking at Atlanta, the way these drivers are practicing, I'm curious on how they're going to make passes, because if you look at the pass, it was hard to make any moves because everyone stayed side by side all race long.
Yeah, the biggest thing about making a pass here is you've got to be the driver that wants to take that chance. You're going to have to trust the people behind you to go 3 wide with those guys in front of you. So it's not going to be a very simple, wait a few laps, set them up, and get around them, because it's drafting. You're all going to be nose to tail pretty much this entire race. So you've got to set up the entire field and set up the people behind you to get around, and it's going to be 3 wide passes. It's going to be tight. It's going to be nerve-wracking, and these drivers have got to keep it steady when they make these passes, or they're going to cause a wreck and involve more than just themselves.
Don't want to be involving anyone else. We talked about the rookies. We got some changes in teams, as one of the teams really changing up. It was going to be probably my favorite 4-team racing for that team championship. Nightmare Fuel. John Forbes joining up with Vincent Sora. They're adding on the likes of Thomas Green, Jared Talmadge. That is a full group of drivers that race on Monday nights, and that's pretty much the top 4 drivers from our Monday night series, all coming as one. Another team for us to watch out for is going to be Lucky Duck Motorsports, where they are always fast everywhere we go. They're going to be trying to carry on that speed. And then Ying Yang Racing, where we find Larry Yingling, Brian Kelly. Those two have been so dynamic as a duo, bringing in the number 8 of Brian McCann as their trio pick. I think those are the big teams to watch out for this season. And then returning drivers, Steven Stimpian. Have not seen that 81 back on track in WSSR in a while, or talked to him before. He's hoping to run the full season. We hope for that as well. We're also going to see David Medina back out there in track in the number 20. It's exciting when you see those returning drivers, rookies, and seeing all the big changes around the field, as we're about to get ourselves to our featured race. 150 laps, stage break at the end of lap 30, no fast repairs, Fortress sets tires in pit road, and we were given the fuel number of around 62 to 67 laps on fuel. We'll see after the stage break on how that dynamic changes. As the scene warm-up coming to an end, that means it's about to be race time, and it's about to be time for us to take a look at our starting grid here this evening. A lot of drivers showing up, and it was up to the limit. 43 drivers are attempting to race here tonight, and it's crazy to say, but it is going to be seen Drew Jua, who finds that top speed, taking the pole here tonight. Again, a little bit of mix-up on the number on our ticker to what he'll have on track, but the 77 of Drew Jua, who will have the 88 on track, takes our pole award. Last season's champion, John Forbes Jr., will start to his outside of the number 1. Ryan Kelly led the most laps here last season. He'll start in 3rd for the Green Machine. Thomas Green, starting with a new team, will start in 4th with GT Rizzari in 5th. 6th, we find Ross Tatum with Larry Yingling in 7th. 8th is Cole Sacchetti. 9th, we find Douglas Newbegin, and finishing out our top 10, it's 81 as Steven Stippian.
Back at row 6, starting in 11th, will be Ken Campbell on the inside with Nick Crawford to his outside. The number 35, Pete Tarley, starting inside on position 13, and Gavin Rogers outside row 7 and 14th. Brian Noel will be starting 15th with Andrew Medlin on his outside, and the number 12 starting 16th. Zachary Hall backed into the number 32 will be starting 17th, and Vincent Sora, the number 51, starting on his outside in 18th position. David Medina Sr. will be starting in 19th, and to round up the top 20, Kyle Rochelle starting on the outside of row 10.
Great to see Kyle Rochelle back out on track. In 21st, we find the 17 of Chris Stitz with Ryan Bird in the 49 in 22nd position. Jared Talmadge going to start back in 23rd position. 24th, we find the 8 of Brian McCann with Ryan Ferraro in 25th. One of the rookies showing up here tonight in the 22, it's going to be Colby DiCarlo, who's going to be in 26th, with another rookie down in 27th of Colin Carroll. Then in 28th, we find the 9 of Shane Terrian with returning driver in the 72 of Brad Delp. Finishing out our top 30, we find the 13 of Cedric Hunter.
Starting at 31st, Brian P. Johnson, a really far back start for him. He'll be starting 31st position with Joshua Kanata on his outside in 32nd. Cody Reed, last season open winner, will be starting in 33rd with Manazzi Major starting in 34th on his outside. Justin Malarkey starting 35th, Ben Keeney on his outside in 36th. Mark Morales will be starting 37th, and Christopher Wade in 38th. Nico Garcia, newcomer, coming in, starting 39th, and Christopher Norris will be starting outside in position 40. And the last 3 drivers, Samuel S. Garcia starting 41st, and Tyler Dingler in 42nd, with Joshua Corner in 43rd in the number 2 machine.
43 drivers enter tonight. One of the drivers I was hoping to race here tonight, not able to, Ollie Fonseca. He was penalized after having too many incidences collected throughout last season. The 24 that was hoping to start off and help his friend Cody Reed go back-to-back on season opener races, suspended for 1 race. We'll see Ollie out on track next week at Rockingham. So we could be seeing some drivers have some knockout qualifying next week. Rockingham should be a fun one, but tonight it's Atlanta. It's super speedway racing. It's going to be a lot to stay attached with one another, but you're also going to be wanting to make sure you're not running on top of each other. It's going to be a hard thing to keep on, but some of these drivers, they know how to keep it clean and green. The most cautions we've ever had was 6 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway in this super speedway configuration back in season 8 and last season. They know how to keep it clean and green. We'll see if they can get it done here tonight. Drew Jua, John Force Jr. going to be your top 2. Both drivers make it to the final 6 last season. They hope to continue on with that trend, as we're going to be seeing that 88 on the inside. He'll be the 77 on our ticker. Drew Jua enters the restart zone, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to season 11 as we are green for the WSSR VRS Cup Series Race 1 underway as we roar down into turn number 1. Here we go, Richard. It's the start of a new season.
The chaos has begun as the drivers are full speed into turn 1 and 2, nose to tail, still too wide. A little bit of a gap later back in the group, but this is the time that you've got to decide what your strategy is. Are you going to try to move your way up through the field, or are you going to hang back and save your car for the end of the race? As we see John Forbes getting a little bit of a push, trying to take the lead lap 1, but as they come around, who's going to cross the line? It will be John Forbes, last season's champion, taking lap 1 here in season 11.
He ended last season on top, and he'll start the season on top as well, having his teammate in the 31 of Thomas Green leading the charge on the outside. That freaky fast broadcasting 31. It's exciting to see how well he's running so far, but seeing teammate help automatically right off the rip is going to be so important overall on this field, going back and forth. And Richard, having a friend and an ally already early going is proving well for the 1 and 31 as they're already in control, bobbing and weaving. It's complete control up front as it's side by side, fourth on back.
And it looks like it's 3 cars that are really working together that have taken complete control. John Forbes, Thomas Green, and Ross Tatum doing really well, able to get that momentum and pull themselves out in front of the field. We'll see how well they can do and be able to maintain that gap. But they've got 2 more drivers that are following in suit with them, keeping it single file. Cars in a straight line will go a lot faster than those 2 wide, but they're starting to bob a little bit up there. They're trying to make moves or just get a little loose, but Ross Tatum moving to the outside, maybe trying to put a block, but not able to do it. They're just going to fall right back in line as they come out of 2.
Get back in line, and now leading the outside groove was Steven Stimpy, and now starting to see a lot more bobbing and weaving, and a big move for the lead as Ross Tatum into the 21. Huge lunge to the inside, not able to fully clear. A loose touch to that chance to take the top spot and lead that lap. John Forbes continues the lead up front, but we were seeing a daring move by Ross Tatum. It looked good for a second, but ultimately backfires from leading for a moment, now outside of the top 5.
That's where you need friends. Ross Tatum did a great move to get out in front, but did not have a friend or a partner to go with him underneath to give him the push. The outside line had that momentum. They had the push. They had the help, and Ross Tatum falls way back into the 6th position now, and not really leading anymore. So a good attempt by him to take the lead, but in the end, without help, you're not going to move much further.
Just seeing how quickly Atlanta's dynamic can change. You went from 5 drivers just dominating ahead of everybody to now side by side from the top spot on back, as now it's Drew Jewett, John Forbes Jr. going to be side by side for the lead positions, and already seeing a lot of big movements in the middle of the pack as drivers are seeing these massive shuffles going back and forth. But it's the side drafting that I'm seeing right now, Richard, that's really impacting the drivers in the middle of the pack.
Side drafting in these cars is heavy. It's really strong. Side drafting is basically where you take the air, you get close to the rear quarter panel of the car in front of you or to your side, and it pushes air onto the rear spoiler, which basically, when you watch it, it literally makes that car just stall. It pulls that car backward and lets you move forward. So a lot of these drivers are going to utilize that side draft technique to pull a car back to be able to either get in front of them or complete a pass.
As the drivers continue to go back and forth, looking at the middle of the field, there's a couple of drivers that have already moved up big positions. Christopher Norris back in 28th spot is one of our biggest movers, up 12 positions. Everyone else mired in the middle has gone up 3 or 4 spots or has gone down 3 or 4 spots. And it's just a survival game at this point. Again, we do have a stage break. It's at the end of lap 30, and that's why we're seeing a lot of big movements happening here in the early goings. Tire wear will become a factor, and for some drivers, it's make the big moves early and then try to salvage your position later on in the run. But Richard, with it being only the top 10 drivers getting bonus points at the end of the stage, if you're further on back, you have to make the moves now.
And that's if your strategy is you want to get up there and get the points. I mean, if you're back in the pack, I mean, if you're 30th back, it's kind of just to sit there, ride, and hope something happens that you get through to have a chance. Right now, it's just save your car, because in order to get more points than just stage points, you have to be at the end there at the end of the race. And if you wreck your car, you won't be at the end of the end of the race. So it's a lot better sometimes just to kind of sit in the back, play it easy, play it calm, and wait for the moves to be able to be safe before you start moving forward. But some of these guys, you know, back in like the 12th, 13th, 14th, back to 20th, it's possible they want that aggression. They want to move forward because they want those extra points. So it's interesting to see what the strategies will be later in this run as we're 10 laps in.
10 laps in and up front. Swapping back and forth inside of the top 10, some of the bigger movers. Gavin Rogers, who's one of the better qualifiers that we've seen in these last few seasons since he's emerged into the WSSR. He currently is just cracked inside of the top 10, up 5 positions where he started. As well, going to be Nick Crawford up 4 positions from where he started. Both drivers ripping the top and finding some big moves overall. Also, you see in the rocking the 29 number, that's Cole Sacchetti. We've seen Sacchetti and a few other drivers from this Storm Motorsports team that we've covered some of their leagues in the past. And it's great to see drivers that we've called here on Freaking Fast Broadcasting in the past kind of try to test the water of WSSR, a much more difficult series than most out there in the sim. And it's great to see drivers find early success, or at least try to test water and see where their success could be. As up front, it is still John Forbes Jr. leading the top side, Drew Jua on the inside groove. Starting to see a little bit of those swaps back and forth as Cole Sacchetti wants to lead a lap, but needs a little bit more help on the outside if he's going to be able to do so. Looking at the field right now, Richard, seeing a lot more bobbles happening. We're 13 laps in, and up front, all these wiggles making me nervous for those drivers further in the back.
Yeah, the biggest difference between Atlanta Super Speedway versus that of like Talladega or Daytona is tire wear, like you were saying, does actually play a factor in this later down the road. Because the longer these tires wear out, they're going to have to actually start letting up in these turns, or these cars get really, really tight. They want to push up the track. You're going to run into the guys on the outside lane. So taking care of your tires is also a big factor when it comes to this. You got to do everything you can. You don't want to be bobbing and weaving all the time. You don't want to be jerking the wheel really hard. You want to be able to keep those tires cool and happy so you don't have to let up as much. But eventually, all these drivers will have to let up going into the turns. But this bobbing and weaving, it's a recipe for disaster, but they're doing a good job staying off of each other. So great work by all the drivers. And, you know, some of the strategies that we're playing out, one of the largest movers in the field right now is Christopher Norris, up 17 positions from his starting position. So Christopher Norris looking to move up through the field to try and make a chance for those stage points.
Trying their best to move up through the field and trying to find allies in the middle of the mix. That's the big thing a lot of these drivers are searching for as we hop on board the 38 machine, and he's ripping the top. It's been the moving position. A lot of drivers trying to find an opening, drop down low, and try to pick and choose which lane's going to move forward at its best potential and kind of just move a ladder your way forward. 38 on the outside. You can see as we're riding on board, just the amount of drivers ahead of you, behind you in his mirror. You're kind of stuck as he's basically dead center in this field currently. I mean, Richard, this is a fun place to be if you know that you can work your way forward through this field, but also a nerve-wracking place because you're on the outside and there's no exit plan if there's a wreck in front of you.
Yeah, I think you and I have a different definition of fun. Being in the middle field is not somewhere I like to be, especially on the outside of the super speedway. But Christopher Norris driving really calm, it seems, and he's doing a really good job moving his way up through the field, passing the cars as they come around. So good work from Norris. And these drivers, I mean, seriously, they are doing a fantastic job. They're a little bit 3 wide back there also. So there is some 3 wide moves happening, but the number 4 Dynaco machine looks like he's on the outside, kind of stuck out in no man's land at the moment.
Yeah, that is going to be seeing a rookie of Colin Carroll who's trying to find a spacing for themselves. And up front, we're going to be going 3 wide. That's Drew Jua stuck in the middle, and he's going backwards, what we like to call the sucker hole. Not finding a lot of friends and allies, but luckily we'll find one. That's going to be the 00 of Brian Noel from the Lucky Ducks Motorsports team. But trouble further on back, it just stacks up, and a big wreck on the front stretch for the driver's 30th on back.
Oh man, a caution comes out. That is not what you want to see, but that is it. About the middle of the field is where the accident started. So unfortunate to see, early accident. Now put lap 19, 10 laps to go to the end of the stage. They're so close to getting that stage caution.
And Cody Reed looked to be one of those drivers spun around, and it might have been trouble further even ahead of him, as looks like trouble in the middle of this group. We're going to see drivers dashing to the inside, going up and down. This is after the fact. It's going to happen in front of them. They are 4 wide. Looks like some netcode bouncing also for the 25. But when you're 4 wide here at Atlanta, yeah, that's a mixture of chaos and a wreck about to happen. See these drivers bobbing, and that just chain reaction, kind of an accordion effect of trouble ahead of these drivers, just makes it so much more dynamically worse further on back. And 4 wide, bouncing around. Multiple drivers caught up in that wreck.
And that was some heads-up driving by Joshua Kanata also. He got shuffled down to the apron, knew they were, 3 and 4 wide, and he just stayed on the apron. He gave the drivers, some space up on the track to be able to sort it out. So heads-up driving from him because it also kept him out of the wreck as well. But quite a few cars involved in this. Hopefully no meatball damage from any of them. They can get back out on track after getting some damage repaired and still have a chance for the end of the race.
Yeah, you can see further on back that the heavy damage getting ran over. As seen Ben running in, getting into the 4 and just drivers sliding all around. Yeah, I can confirm no one had a required damage flag, like we like to call a meatball flag. It's a black flag with an orange circle. If it's given to a driver, they have to go into pit road and get damage repaired. And sometimes that damage they have to get repaired cannot get fixed, and their race is done early. We got a lot of drivers that had to go into pit road, starting from 34th on back. Going to be led by Justin Malarkey, also rookie in the 22 of Colby DiCarlo, as well as going to be Joshua Kanata, Kyle Rochelle, Zach Hall, Tyler Dengler, Ben Keeney, as well as Ryan Ferraro, the 4 of Colin Carroll, and Nico Garcia, all into pit road. You can see that heavy damage on the outside with Nico Garcia. Nowhere to really go, nor for Tyler Dengler, as Cody Reed, our winner of this opener race last season, involved with our first caution of the day. And this sets it up perfectly, Richard. It's going to be a mad dash to the end because this stage is not over. Stage break at the end of lap 30. This is the when some drivers might risk it all. Do you want to throw your race away for some little bit of extra bonus points, or are you willing to salvage for the end of this race?
Yeah, I think throwing your car away for some bonus points probably isn't the right route to go, but a lot of these drivers, that's what they care about. They like that number. They like that extra advantage for the rest of the championship run. So, I mean, they're going to have just a handful of laps before the end of this stage. So we're going to see a lot of aggression. It's probably between that top 15 set of drivers, to be honest. And who's going to want to get up there and try to race for that first and 10 extra bonus points for finishing there. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a wild, about 8 laps of racing for the final for this stage.
It certainly will be. Well, I know Steve Stimpian, father of Steven Stimpian, out in chat's excited to see this. Steven up front. This 81 is prominently known for being an excellent super speedway driver. He found his way to get up front leading at the time of the caution, and he'll be the control vehicle with the lo-fi machine, the latte lo-fi machine of Nick Crawford on the outside, hoping to go for a huge surge forward. Back in row number 2, we find Gavin Rogers, and also going to be Andrew Medlin, Rogers, Medlin, as well as Crawford, all up 10 positions from where they started, Stimpian up 9. So big movers have taken success. We'll see if they can keep the success as we are about to enter the restart zone. Stage break at the end of lap 30. Who will be inside of the top 10? Let's find out as green flag's out of the air. Huge launch for our front 2. Everyone else kind of backing off. And here we go for the surge. Who can find the big push to catch up to our top 2?
Yeah, a huge launch from those first 2 in the rows, and they line up instantly before getting to turn 1. But Gavin Rogers is going to line up right behind them also and try to keep up with them. He's going to move to the outside. Nope, Nick Crawford's going to block them. We got a 4-car break right now on that outside lane. Gavin Rogers looking low. Forbes up into the wall, but Gavin Rogers got a good run. He's going to try to make a pass for second.
Trying to make all the passes that they can, as Steven Stimpian going to be an affiliate driver partnering up with the Snowy Desert Racing crew, and they are already 2-3 wide, battling just outside of the top 10 and inside of the top 10. Drivers are trying to find their footing to push forward, and John Forbes once again wants to be leading a lane. He'll take the inside row. Steven Stimpian hoping to have some help with his ally of Nick Crawford on the outside, and they're working well, but Vincent Sora no longer wants to wait. The 51 pushing Andrew Medlin to no man's land on the outside.
Pushing him up in the man's lane. He's going to get shuffled out of the draft. There's still going to be 3 wide in most place, but Medlin gets into the wall. Vincent Sora through the middle. Going to force Crawford and Stimpian to the outside. Going to follow Forbes through the middle lane there and challenge for the lead. Gavin Rogers on the inside.
And it's a mad dash. It's 7 laps to go, soon to be 6, and everyone's trying to follow the middle lane that's moving forward. That's not a usual place to see, but when you have teammates in line, they'll make magic work, and that's John Forbes Jr. and Vincent Sora from Nightmare Fuel. They are cruising forward to the point, and it is 3-4 wide. How are they going to hold on to this one? It's Drew Jua trying to hold steady. Nick Crawford as well. They're bouncing up and down with Medlin in the wall, trying to hold steady. Pete Tart on the inside. They're stacked 5 wide. They're bouncing and banging. And there's the wreck we were waiting for. The big one in turn 3. And they're all piling in. It's just a cloud of smoke. And it's ricochet everywhere. The big one. Lap 25. And Richard, we're expecting some meatball flags after that one.
There's definitely going to be some meatball flags after that, Rex. A big one strikes Atlanta 25 laps into this race. And that all sparked from 4 wide racing, which is something you don't want to do at Atlanta. It is too narrow for 4 cars to keep it straight and clean, even on the straightaway.
And what's crazy enough is this whole entire situation, over the whole entire time that they were 4 wide, the drivers over the radio were screaming, we're 4 wide, we're 4 wide, we're 4 wide. And it didn't matter. There just wasn't enough spacing. They ping-ponged off one another. And the big one strikes, and you just see there the cloud of smoke. Drivers just no regard to the brakes. Kyle Rochelle flipping over, and oh, the big one. It is always a nasty sight to see.
Yeah, it looked like the 41 machine of Rochelle, just no brakes, it seemed like, just drove through the field and ended up flipping his car over. But I mean, when you see that much smoke and that many cars in front of you, you don't stay on the gas. That is a point that you just want to get off the gas, get on the brakes, save your car, save other people's cars as well. But huge, just a track blocker. There he comes in right off the nose also of Christopher Norris. And that's a lot of fast drivers that are going to have some major damage they need to get repaired.
An incredible amount of damage just accrued as everyone from about 14th on back involved with this one. And just trying to look through and see if anyone got through this wreck cleanly, and just there were multiple drivers. This 41 wasn't the only one, but he thought he was Lightning McQueen there and could just slice and dice through the smoke. Not the case. Flipping over, rolling on his top. And I'm looking at it, Richard, I'm not seeing any official from iRacing's side meatball flags given out, which is a huge shock. That is impressive. I think it helps that the speeds that we're going, we're not going those over 190 miles per hour into that corner. Everyone was kind of slowing down with how beat up they were. So it could have been a lot worse, but over about half the field still had to go into pit road to get some type of damage repair. Starting off from 22nd position on back, all had to get some type of repairs. That is a massive wreck. And when you have over half the field getting damage, I mean, it's nice to know that you're the one who didn't have to go in and check to see what scrapes and bumps you grab.
Yeah, that is impressive that there was no required damage flags for that field, because there was some heavy hits on the outside wall on other cars. You had Rochelle flying through the field there. I mean, that is impressive that they don't have any required damage. But I guarantee you that still some of those drivers have got a couple of minutes of damage that they should be getting repaired, because aero is a big thing at super speedways. If you do not have a clean looking car, you're going to slow down a lot, because I mean, just unless you're in the draft, you're going to have too much drag on that car to keep going fast.
Yeah, and some drivers even given in our chat that they didn't get any damage. One of those being Joshua Corner, who we saw in the thick of all that didn't get any damage. I mean, it's wild. And sometimes you luck out even with being involved and taking big hits, and others, they don't. As we are getting ourselves stacked up and ready to go back to green flag racing. John Forbes Jr., Captain Rogers going to be your top 2 to watch out for here on this initial launch. Who will find the help, as well as other drivers that are tacked up front? You've got Season 1 champion, second car on the outside. That's going to be Brian P. Johnson. You got Ryan Kelly, second car on the inside. He led the most laps here last season. Can he get back up front in that controlling position? Let's find out, as green flag is back out in the air, and it's the one of John Forbes' major launch for himself. But where are the friends and allies for yourself right now? And They close pit road. Richard, that's a sign. This is still racing to the end of lap 30 for these stage bonus points.
Yeah, it's basically green-white checkered for these guys as they cross for lap 29. So they're going to come around. It's going to be one lap to go after they complete this lap before the end of the stage. So this is going to be even more of a mad dash as Vincent Sora goes high with the number 7 Newbigin, but Newbigin jukes him out and goes low. He's going to move into the 3rd position and try to chase down the 1st and 2nd to try and win this stage.
You've got 4 different dynamic teams all in a line. You've got John Forbes from Nightmare Fuel. You got Yin Yang Racing of Ryan Kelly. You got Lucky Ducks of Douglas Newbigin and Snowy Desert Racing of Cedric Hunter. But the top 4, will they stay the top 4 as it looks like 5th on back, still trying to build the momentum. It's all John Forbes, Ryan Kelly, Douglas Newbigin. Who's willing to make the dash to the outside? Douglas does. Cedric says no. They'll stay side by side for 3rd, and John Forbes Jr. will be your stage winner as he crosses the line. What a run, and yellow flag flies.
Leads the 1st lap and wins stage 1. Season 10 champion is looking strong in these first 30 laps of racing. He's left on top and he's starting stronger and maintaining on top to start this season off. A great run for John Forbes in that stage.
I mean, John has always done this, even on Monday nights, breaking what could be curses, and he just proves that he just does not matter what maybe the stats say or what some bad luck might call for you. He's going to be up front and one of your favorites to watch out for. Other drivers getting stage bonus points, going to be John Forbes winning. Ryan Kelly's going to get 9 stage bonus points with Douglas Newbigin getting 8. Other drivers, it continues to knock down by 1 point. Cedric Hunter will come away in 4th. 5th was Vincent Sora. 6th goes to Gavin Rogers. 8th goes to the rookie of Pete Tart with Brian P. Johnson going to be taking 8th position. 9th goes to Cole Sacchetti, and 10th goes to Ross Tatum. Congratulations to our stage winner of John Forbes Jr. We will talk to John after pit road stops are completed. But I got to say, Richard, 30 laps in, we've had a couple of big wrecks. That last one obviously was the big one. But the rest of the field, I mean, they're still all running and puttering along. This race isn't over just yet.
Oh, no, definitely not over. I mean, it's impressive that a lot of those drivers didn't get damaged. So great. I mean, interesting coding, I guess you could say, from iRacing side, because there's definitely a lot of hard hits that should have caused damage. But that is a breath of fresh air for all those drivers involved, because their race ain't over and they still can have a chance to come back and win this race.
And looking at the field, when they're going to pit, I believe the field, because of pit road entry being closed, it was not opened back up under this caution, so I believe the field's going to be given an extra lap to try to go into pit road, get service done for themselves. We'll wait and see when the field's able to react to go into pit road. But Richard, it's crazy to see the season has started. It's John Forbes Jr. continuing with his great runs. I think one driver, I'm proud of the fact that he worked his way forward. One of our biggest movers right now, Cedric Hunter. I know he's disappointed on the fact that he wasn't able to take that championship last season, up 26 spots from where he started tonight's race in 30th. He currently is our he is our Whiplash SimCam's biggest mover of the day currently as the stage concludes. Get to see the new pit entry. They have to go in on the entry of turn 3, it looks like, under pacing, and that is a different change. I think that's what kind of threw off the field when they were trying to make these pit stops under yellow.
That could be also. This is a very recent change in iRacing. This is a change that recently happened, I do believe, last year for the Atlanta Super Speedway, where NASCAR decided to change the pit entry to the backstretch just because of the speeds that they're running now. Whereas iRacing did not update that when NASCAR did. But I believe this most recent update is what changed that. I have not been to the track, but yeah, it looks like the pit entry has been changed to the backstretch going into turn 3, which is great to see.
Great to see for some. It helps others. Some other drivers were able to pit before our leaders were, and that's going to cycle through and push John Forbes and others further down the leaderboard. Forbes is going to be 10th as he leaves pit road, and that is not where he would like to be. Excuse me, going to be 9th as he exits pit road. Everyone else already made their pit stops. That's Joshua Kanata. It's going to be Carroll in the 4, Tarian DiCarlo, as well as going to be Morales, Delph, as Irizarry and Kinney. Going to be those 8 drivers rewarded with a little bit of mix-up under these yellow flag pit stops, as we're going to see if we can pull down and talk to our Nightmare Fuel stage winner. That will be the one machine of John Forbes. It's weird to say he's been 11 for all that we know, but here tonight and for season 11, he will be known for the number 1. We've got John Forbes with us. John, congratulations on the stage win. How are you feeling after those first 30 laps?
Yeah, it was pretty hectic out there. I had to make a couple blocks and stuff, got loose a few times. This thing on the bottom, for whatever reason, I was getting loose, having to control that thing a few times, so I definitely want to try to keep it up towards the wall. And then Vinny got to my rear bumper right before the end of the stage, and I was like, oh, he definitely has a bunch of cars behind him. He's flying. So I went down to the bottom to try to control the lanes, and then I just saw there was no one behind him. I was like, oh, I just left him out. So yeah, it sucked that happened. We could have had a 1-2 in the stage later, but it was cool to start the season right where we left off with a win within the stage.
Yeah, fantastic start to your season already, being on top, you know, coming out of season 10 and starting out on top here. I mean, this is shaping up to be a strong season already. I mean, it's still too early to tell. It is race 1, but how do you feel, you know, coming in first from the stage and now you have to start back in 10th?
Yeah, I just hope we can finish it out that way. I know with Zach last year having the one car, he had trouble through the whole season. So just like I was able to do in the ISRC Truck Series, well, after taking the championship and everyone like couldn't get a win the next season, I'm just trying to reverse that narrative and try to get a good season here and get as many matching wins for the car number as you can.
Good luck on trying to break the curse. Congratulations on the stage win, John, and we'll send you back to your team. Hopefully we talk to you at the end of the night.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
That's going to be your Nightmare Fuel number 1 of John Forbes. He'll be starting all the way back in 9th position for this restart. Joshua Kanata, who pitted under 15 laps ago under our second caution, he is now going to be your lead driver. Colin Carroll, who we saw getting bounced around during that big one on the front stretch, he's going to be starting on the outside. A lot of newcomers and different drivers going to be up front. It's the rookies. Going to be 1-2 on the outside groove. But it's Joshua Kanata in the 16 on the inside. How well can he take off and go as the backmarker driver going to be taking off in the restart zone? We are back to green flag racing. There's no more stage racing. It's all about the win. And Kanata bounces high. And it's everyone instead of that top 8. They're starting to space out. Top 6 look good. But Richard exiting out of 2. It's everyone from 10th on back that I'm worried about what big moves are willing to make.
Yeah, I mean, this point right now, though, it's a long race, 115 laps to go. It is not really a time to make some major moves, though. If you make your major moves now, it's less major moves you have to move or make later in the race. So we'll see what they decide to do, but we got a pretty big break here from that front group, and we are back to 3-wide racing. You'd think after seeing that many cars side by side with the big one, you wouldn't want to do this, but they're back to doing it. 3-wide racing coming out of 2.
They're 3-wide back here. They're also 3-wide battling for 5th place currently, and that's where we'll find Vincent Sora, John Forbes. Joshua Kanata is on the inside, but fading backwards with Mark Morales. Top side going to be the 22 of DeCarlo, as well as finding GT Rizzari. They continue to bounce back and forth, and it's a 2-car breakaway currently, a 3-car takeaway, you could say, as Shane Tarian, as well as Colin Carroll, trying to pull away from these drivers, staying 3x3. Now 3 rows deep, about to be 4 if someone wants to bounce that 3rd lane. And you know what? We saw the big one. They're not calming down from that one just yet. They want to make the big moves, be in the better track position, and the drivers on that 3rd lane getting some major help. Now 4th car on the outside. That's Gavin Rogers, who you know can make passes and can get forward quickly. The question is, can he find any spacing to make any moves, because everyone's stalling out of this wall.
Oh man, they are still 3 wide. The aggression early in this run is high. It is through the roof with this many cars 3 wide right now. But yes, Gavin Rogers on the outside. He moves back down to the middle lane there. He's going to try to play it safe instead of taking it 3 wide, keeping it up against the wall. And he's just going to try to get around those guys that are on the outside. They're kind of stuck by themselves. The majority of the cars sitting in the middle and the inside lane. So Gavin Rogers, very aggressive driver, but he's smart about his moves he typically takes. So he's going to drive it through the middle there with everybody else and get around those 2 cars that are kind of stuck against that wall.
And with all that chaos, we were seeing about 15th to 12th on back. It is back to the lead position from 10th to the top spot. John Forbes is back home leading this race. That one machine, he's been developing leaps and bounds, it feels like, every season. And you could say at one moment last season, he wasn't the heavy favorite to win the championship, but the way that he's been growing as a driver, John Forbes might be the heavy favorite this go around with how aggressive he's willing to be. And if you don't get in his way and stop this one's momentum, he's just going to walk everyone moving forward, as the top spots all going to be in line. A little bit of spacing happening between 17th and 18th spot. This lead pack looks pretty strong as they're all side by side.
Yeah, they finally calmed down, is playing a little smart here. They're just going to go two by two instead of the 3 wide racing. So they're just kind of waiting. They're going to chill out a little bit, take it easy, take a breath, and get themselves settled again before they start making moves. But yeah, John Forbes, he has been one to watch with his growth here on iRacing and in the WSSR, and like you said, the ISRC. And he is definitely going to be a driver to be reckoned with, as they're going 3 wide for the lead. John Forbes gets shuffled to the middle as Shane Terrian goes low.
And for John, he's got to find an ally who's willing to push the one, and it looks like he's going to get none of that, as the inside group going to be seeing Carroll Terry and the Blue Machines willing to work as one. They weren't on paper as allies or alliances, but they're trying their best to move forward as quickly as they can, as Joshua Kanata, 23 laps he's been out there on track with these tire and fuel, and he's still making it work in that lead position. The 16 proving, yes, older tires, you can still hold strong being up front. Now in the middle pack, going to be seeing Justin Malarkey. Wow, big bump pushing Ron Kelly in the wall. Malarkey still sideways bouncing. GT in the wall. They're going to be stacked up 3-4 wide. Can they keep it together? They do, as everyone gives space, but huge loss for the 14 of GT Rosario. Take it back. Caution further on back.
Oh man, a huge stack up, cars getting turned a little bit. They did a good job for the most part keeping it straight, but the caution does come out. This will bring all the drivers back together. It'll give those also time to come and do repairs, and they still got some left, but a lot of great driving from those drivers there in the top 10, 15 there to not cause a huge wreck.
And it's going to be Nico Garcia that's going to be that driver that brings out the yellow, as some were slowing down, others were not. And the 71 bounced you around. And the big thing of note is it's going to be around himself, the 2 of Joshua Corner, who we got the report was involved with the big one, took no damage, might have grabbed a little bit more damage from this spot. As the 2 goes high, 71 backs off. It's the 21 of Ross Tatum that just gets kind of squeezed in the middle. And there goes the 71. Hard contact for Major in the 82. As he moves on and passes on by. And we do have reports of GT Rosari required damage as well. The 00 Brian Noel going to be given required damage as well.
Oh man, 2 drivers required damage, and that wasn't that heavy of a wreck that we saw from the big one, but required damage are definitely going to be in the pit lane for a minimum of more than likely 5 to 6 minutes. That is what I've found to be the minimum repair time when you do get that required damage flag. So they're definitely going to go at least 5 or 6 laps down, if not a little bit more. They're going to have a huge mountain to climb if they want a chance of winning this race.
And I'm curious for the 00 Brian Noel, because he looked like he was by himself when that caution flag came out and when he got that required damage flag. So I'm assuming it might be something internal damage wise. And it looks like actually no, it was just a broken toe link. That flag went away almost immediately after getting repairs done. So now it's just a lot of optional that he's dealing with. GT on the other hand, he's going to be in there for a while, as multiple drivers getting some service done from 32nd position on back, getting extra damage repair with Ryan Bird, as well as GT Rosari, Ross Tatum, Cole Sacchetti, Ryan Ferraro, Ryan, seeing Rochelle, Kyle Rochelle still running after his flip is impressive to see. Christopher Norris also getting repairs done with Major, Garcia, Nico Garcia, as well as Brian Noel still in pit road getting service done. Josh Kanata still out there on track, and looking at how this field might be trying to react for the final stages of this race. Now, some of the drivers just came in at that stage break, top off on fuel, and it was at lap 32 when they entered pit road. We were given the number of 62 to 67 laps that they could take a full tank. Richard, that's telling me we got one stop here tonight the field's looking for. Question is, when do you want to make that final stop before you're done for the day on fuel at least, maybe not on tires?
Yeah, fuel is usually the main concern at tracks like this, but Atlanta, I mean, those tires, they will wear out. They will have to slow down a bit in the turns. So it could be just a combination of how you want to balance the fuel to tire wear out combination there. So, but I mean, yeah, at this point in time with the fuel load and the fuel run they can do, they are looking at only one more stop the rest of this race, yellow flag pending. So, I feel the more cautions we get, we'll see a lot more cars pit more often, but I don't know. We'll see what the strategy plays. Track position tends to be king in a lot of these situations, and I guarantee if you're in the top 10, you don't want to give that up if you don't have to.
Our first official DNF of the evening is going to be the 14 of GT Irizarry. It looks like he might have been given the too much damage to fix notification, as the 14 still sits in pit road and yet to leave. Everyone else has gone back out on track. We've got 39 drivers on the lead lap 2, 1 lap down. Tyler Dangler is 5 laps down. As we are back to green flag racing, it's Joshua Kanata, Vincent Sora, side by side as they head down into turn number 1. And it looks like a clean start for the outside groove, as we've seen Terry and Malarkey trying to give the big push to help the 16 get ahead.
Yeah, fantastic push, getting that 16 Kanata up ahead into the lead, and Kanata being up there leading, that has got to feel really good. He had a lot of bad luck last season, hoping to turn that around here and make a statement going into race number 2.
To change it all around. Also want to give note of some other drivers that have been making some big pressure, big moves throughout this evening. Joshua Kanata up 31 spots from where he started. Shane Terrian up 26 positions. Colin Carroll up 23, and Justin Malarkey up 30 spots from where they started. Just seeing how that stage caution, taking the track position, has really helped these drivers keep their spots up front, and they continue to know that track position could be the key factor for this evening's races. We're finishing up the first third as lap 50 begins. It's Vincent Sora leading the way as the rest of the field still try to find their footing side by side for the most of it, as they're 3 wide battling for 18.
And that's Drew Drua taking it to the middle lane to try to move up through this field. He was involved in that major wreck when they were 4 wide. So to see him making aggressive moves like this, he's here to race. He's here to win this race. So he's not trying to be light, not trying to take it easy through the middle, but he's going to shuffle back because he's got no help. He's got to find a way to get into the line. He's going to find himself back on the inside lane but there's still 3 wide behind him as well.
Yeah, and that's going to be John Forbes, who entered pit road to top off on fuel, as well as Jared Talmadge. They went down to the apron, utilizing that extra space. Now, if you go down there, it's kind of a gentleman's agreement. If you can go down below that red line, but you have to come up safely. If you cause an issue, you will be penalized, as the 1 and the 27 continue to just trying to find little creative ways to move forward. But it's so difficult when you're outside of the top 20, because you want to use all the speed and momentum you build up, but sometimes there's just no space to use that momentum.
That's the biggest problem, is like space is such a hard thing to come by, because you might have momentum, you might want to take it to that middle lane, or you might want to try to force someone to that middle lane by going to the outside. But if you've got nobody coming in behind you to go to that third lane, you're not gonna make any pass. You're gonna stall out and fall back and lose more positions you were trying to gain. But Drew Drua back to the middle lane. He's got help this time from John Forbes, so those two gonna work together to try to move back up through the field and get back up to the front where they were running earlier.
Hop on board on the hood of John Forbes in the middle, just trusting that you can hit your own marks. And we know John Forbes can stay and hold a line. It's trusting that the competition around you will stay low, stay high, and everyone hits their marks exiting out of the corner as the middle groove trying their best to go forward. And it's all because of these big pushes, the big bumps, the willingness to be aggressive through the center of the corner and get back on the throttle sooner than everyone else, as Gavin Rogers now wants to be the lead driver in the middle groove. Take that back. Everyone that was on the top side, they're going up and down and bobbing and weaving, trying to hold back this 75, 88, and the 1 as they're trying to go forward.
Yeah, it is a great work by Cedric Hunter in that outside lane. They're kind of stalling out that middle lane, but further on back, you got Zach Hall, who's trying to decide what lane he wants to go to. That outside lane has started to merge to the inside. They jump back out to the outside. Zach Hall's just trying to figure out what lane is going to start moving so he can move back up through the field. But Justin Malarkey now, he's going to be in the middle lane with those other 4 drivers, and he's going to try to lead these guys up through the field as the outside lane's kind of bumping up into the wall.
Yeah, they're getting into the wall. I was just about to say, I'm getting a feeling of some slight deja vu with everyone stacking up 3 wide. I think that's going to hurt some drivers with those getting into the outside wall and scrubbing off their pace, but at least it calms down the field. That was at one moment 6 drivers being 3 by 3 by 3, and that's a dangerous row to see of everyone stacked in line, because one mistake could cause another big one. As up front, seeing Colin Carroll, one of our rookies, really proving the fact, hey, I'm a driver to watch out for in this 4 machine. Caught up in earlier wrecks, took a lot of damage, but still having the speed, able to get damage repaired, and leading right now, battling with Vincent Sora, the 2-time champ, doing his best to start the season off right. Because if we look back to last season, Richard, Vincent Sora probably had one of the worst starts to the season we've ever seen the 51 have, and he really rebounded to get back into the playoffs, but he wants to carry the momentum of winning last season's Homestead race.
You know, I've heard a lot of people say it. If he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. But Vincent Sora did not have a very lucky start to his season, but was able to rebound extremely well and enter himself into the playoffs. He made a very strong run in the playoffs also, but he's wanting to come back. He's not wanting to see another bad start to his season. So good to see him up here driving safe and up here in front.
Oh no, Malarkey's getting pushed around. Gavin Rogers. Oh, it's another big one as they pile up on the outside. Back into the field, another huge collision. Secondary contacts are just making it even worse as they slid across the field. And oh no, another big one, and it's Malarkey just being tossed around.
Oh man, just unfortunate racing right there. Malarkey gets a little turned off someone's nose, and then everybody behind him just kind of stacks up. Another big wreck, and a lot of damage going to be caused as we watch. Looks like just a bad push from Gavin Rogers, who's getting pushed from behind as well. So you can't push the pusher, and a lot of people like doing that, and that's kind of what happens when you get stacked up, and it just wrecks a lot of cars.
It really does, as you'll see here, they're in line. Malarkey gives a bump to Sora, and then kind of with that bump pushes himself high, and they weren't stacked in line perfectly, and with all the pushing and bumping, to seeing just the hard ricochet contacts, Steven Stimpy and Zach Hall, John Forbes all involved. It's the secondary roll down, though, that's really impactful. Get into Ben Keeney, Ross Tatum also involved, as the field's trying their best to bob and weave as more carnage is added.
Yeah, the cars slid up the track, and everyone behind them were just trying to dodge the wreck. They thought they'd stay up there, but the cars, in order for them to stay up the top of the track, they've got to be like against the wall sideways, not with their rear end, because that's just going to push the cars back down the track, and they weren't expecting it. The cars came back down with Gavin Rogers and Justin Malarkey and involved a few other drivers into that wreck.
And with that contact, Ross Tatum, Zach Hall, both going to be given required damage flags. They have to go back and get that damage repaired. We hope that it's not terminal damage where their race is done. A couple of drivers added to where done. Tyler Dangler, Ryan Ferraro going to be tagging along with GT Rosari on calling it an evening. We hope to see those drivers back out on track next week at Rockingham to continue on the start of season 11. It's been a pleasure to give you the call so far. 60 laps in the books, and I think this might be the perfect time for us to step away for our first commercial break of the evening. It's been a blast to give you all the calls here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Currently, it's the rookie of Colin Carroll going to be leading the charge for the 4 machine, with the 3 of Ryan Kelly right behind him. We'll be back right after this to give you more WSSR VRS Cup Series action for Season 11, Race 1. We'll be back right after this to give you more Super Speedway coverage. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, to more racing coverage here for the WSSR VRS Cup Series at Atlanta. Race number 1 of season 11 currently underway. We have just completed lap 62, and we're seeing for the first time a lot of drivers decided let's stay single file. And this is going to be one of those weird positions because we're close when drivers are marching closer and closer to halfway. And this is that time and zone of, do you just run your fuel out? Do you think about pitting sooner than later? The questions of strategy starts to arise for some of these teams and solo drivers on who you can trust or not. We're excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Richard Wolsifer, as well as Rain Productions is Robert Moyer Jr. here this evening. And Richard, we've seen a lot of big wrecks, and this is the first time I feel like the drivers have decided, all right, let's calm down for a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is something they should have done a long time ago. That second big wreck. I mean, you thought they learned their lesson, and it didn't happen, so now they finally did. Single file racing is what we're going to see probably for a while until we get closer to either pits or closer to the end of this race. But yeah, these drivers are kind of smartening up a little bit. Just going to take it easy, take it safe, maybe make some passes when they can. But they're back to single file. They're getting double file, though, further back in the field. So maybe that won't last as long as we thought it would.
And I'm not surprised on who those drivers are. You got Vincent Sora, who's trying to side draft his way forward and doing it just on his own. It's not really working, so why not find a friend? That's going to be the teammate from Nightmare Fuel, who is the acquired driver to join Nightmare Fuel of Jarrett Talmadge, as well as going to be seeing the likes of Cedric Hunter, Hunter's teammate of the 74, of Nick Crawford. These are drivers that race around one another for multiple different years and seasons. That outside lane is going to get moving forward quickly, but now they're going to have a different driver leading that outside groove as Brad Delph in the 72 gets pushed to the outside, and they say, no, thank you. We don't want you to be our lead driver. As Sora just pushes the 72, and now he's all on his own in that third lane.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you're an aggressive driver like Vincent Sora. He just gets to the inside, just barely of Brad Delph, forces him up the track, and he's got teammates behind him. So all they had to do is just follow Vincent Sora, and it kind of led Brad Delph out there in the dust, and he's fallen way back out of the top 10 now.
Joshua Kanata getting pushed so far out. I'm expecting this 51 to just drop it low at some point off the exit of the corner and go for the big pass, or they might work with the 16. A lot of different Alliance drivers trying to see who are they willing to work with, or do you just hope that the lane you're in, they don't just ditch you? As the drivers can give updates on. GT Rosari officially out of this race. Tyler Dangler, as well as Ryan Ferraro and Ross Tatum being the newest driver to call it a night. They are officially done. Zach Hall still sits in pit road. And we'll see if that 32 can get back out on track and just salvage whatever he can before the season is over. Well, it hasn't stayed calm for long, and it is now side-by-side racing for fourth on back. Seeing the inside road, trying to find a little bit more momentum and helpfulness to get forward. As other drivers, their aggressiveness has been backfiring as one of the drivers hoping to go forward. That was Drew Jua. He tried. That was Douglas Newbegin. He tried to make some big moves for the 7. He was about to crack inside of the top 15. He'll drop out just outside of it in 20th. As he lingers on the inside row. And then a driver who was caught up in our first wreck of the day, Cody Reed. Richard, his day's not over just yet. He's now on the charge to try to repeat as the Atlanta opening race winner.
Yeah, great recovery from Cody Reed being involved in that massive first wreck of the race. So he's just been able to keep his head on his shoulders, get the damage repaired, and he's making his move up through the field. And yeah, like you said, he's aiming to maybe pull off another season open win, and that'd be great to see from Cody Reed.
It certainly would, as here's Ryan Bird, a driver who flirts in and out of racing in the WSSR Cup Series. It's great to see Bird out on track. This 49, each and every season, you don't know what you're going to see on pace. There's some seasons where he is competing for top 5s, for wins. There's other seasons where he's just trying to get a good top 15 finish. I'm hoping that this is one of those seasons where we see him challenging up front. Andrew Medlin trying his best to recover to get back to those top positions where at one moment he was challenging instead of the top 5. And Steven Stimpian, one of the favorite drivers, I think, in my opinion, to watch whenever he returns back to the WSSR, because this 81, he will be a threat at some of the races that we go to. And I'm excited when we go to these intermediate mile-and-a-half courses, some of the smaller tracks where he's going to really show his talent. As Stympian currently runs in 22nd position and caught up in our second big one of the day, and he's trying to just salvage what he can.
Yeah, Steven Stympian has always been an exciting driver to watch, and great to see him come back to the WSSR. Like you were saying, he is really, really strong on the super speedways, but his skill definitely stands out on those intermediate tracks as well. So it'd be great to see what he can do coming back to the WSSR. As we got a car sliding coming out of turn 2 there, but it looks like they're able to keep it straight. The 4 almost.
Oh no! There they go.
Spinning in the back.
Stack up, and there they go flying, and it's a big one with some of the rookies as well as others. The 40, that's going to be actually the 35 on our ticker. Pete Tart spun around, and just the chain reaction once again. If someone up front checks up or slides, that chain reaction just becomes too massive, and a wreck blossoms in the back. And the 40 on screen, 35 on our ticker is the one that goes around.
Yeah, I think honestly that all kind of started when the number 4 got a little loose, caused some checkup between everybody when he tried to come back up on track. That's exactly what happened. A checkup, and then the drivers just getting into the rear ends, and just the number 40 or the number 35 just not able to keep his car straight from a big hit right there on his nose, and goes up, involves Douglas Newbigging. More unlucky situation for Douglas Newbigging. He's involved there.
And you talked about the big move during our first big one of the day where Joshua Kanata dropped down to the inside. Teammate of Joshua Kanata, Samuel Garcia, did a very similar move. Saw that they were checking up, went down to the apron, enabled the 50 to avoid that wreck. Other drivers not able to, as Douglas Newbigging in pit road trying to get repairs done. We have gotten the report from Zach Hall in the chat. His race is over. He got the too much damage. We are done notification. Nico Garcia also in pit road with required damage. The 22 of Colby DiCarlo going to be also getting required damage, with Chris Stitz joining in the fray. The 00 of Brian Noel does have a black flag. We're waiting to see if that will be removed or not. But Richard, we're starting to really see we just got to halfway, and the dominoes of drivers being eliminated from this race are really starting to show after all these big wrecks.
Yeah, it's a race of attrition sometimes at these super speedways where, you know, sometimes you just have to survive the wrecks, and you can be there at the end fighting for a top 10 or more. So some of these drivers in the back, you might not normally see them up front, but they could make their way up there if these cars cannot keep them straight. They keep falling out, you know, little by little, one by one.
As we're seeing the 82 of Major going to be in second place, with Nick Crawford going to be taking the top spot on this restart. Also, Andrew Medlin going to be in third, as Vincent Sora and many of others just going to come into pit road, top off on fuel, and get ready for this restart. Now, this is officially the halfway point of this race. As the field's getting ready for racing action, we want to say thank you to the major sponsors that help out here at the WSSR. New title sponsor, VRS. That is your virtual racing school. Head on over to the virtual racing school to go check out all the variety of ways to help you become a better driver, from seeing live telemetry or ways to evolve your performance, to also getting helpful tips from eNASCAR, Coca-Cola, iRacing series drivers, getting advantages on how to get out there on track. Well, VRS, their mission is clear: to provide every driver with the tools and knowledge to reach their fullest potential, whether it's on the virtual track or beyond. I want to say thank you to VRS for becoming the title sponsor of the WSSR Cup Series. It is such an awesome sponsor to have for a great league. Also, if you want to get yourself, you just got all the knowledge from VRS, why not find yourself with a professional grade racing rig? Head on over to GTR Simulators today and go check out what great products they have for you. Remember to use promo code WSSR at checkout to get 10% off purchase of $100 or more at GTRsimulators.com. Don't miss out on your chance to upgrade your rig and race like the pros. Thank you to GTR Simulators and VRS. As the field stacked up, it's time to get back to racing action. It's going to be Sam Minozzi Major, Nick Crawford, side by side with Andrew Medlin, Vincent Sora behind him. Green flag is out, already bumping action on the outside, and it's the 74 with the nose ahead. But Richard, I think these drivers, they got the itch. It's time to go quick again.
Yeah, they're halfway through this race. Now it's, the question is, is it time to start making my moves? Do I want to get up front? And Cedric Hunter tried jumping a little bit on that start to get that outside line moving, but Nick Crawford was able to nose ahead. But that outside line starting to get some momentum back behind them. Maybe Minozzi Major leading that line. Vincent Sora trying to push Minozzi Major back to the front there. Vincent Sora trying to be aggressive. He wants to be back up front leading this race.
Wants to get up front. We're starting to see a lot of bouncing all around. That's Jared Talmadge pushed to the center, and Vincent Sora said, thank you. I'll take that opportunity to push my teammate forward. Is Ken Campbell, Sly Robin as they're pushing through. Shane Terrian thought about going 3 wide, thought better of it. He'll stay in line on the inside row, and it's Major. No help, no assistance. He goes backwards as Talmadge slicing his way. Saw the nudge from Vincent Sora, and he plays the same move. Now on Andrew Medlin, the 12 goes backwards. And just seeing these nightmare fuel drivers, they are being a nightmare to have if they're behind you.
They are doing fantastic work, working together. It's like they're one and the same person. Talmadge there pulling the same move that we've seen Vincent Sora pull multiple times in this race already, just getting underneath the car in front of you and forcing him to that outside line. And like I said, when you got a teammate behind you, you can do that because you're going to have the help behind you to get that push to keep going. So great work by those two, and they're trying to get up front and dominate this field and lead it to the end.
Trying their best. Our top 24 drivers all going to be within 2 seconds of one another. We got our second pack kind of blossoming up from 25th place. That's where Drew Jua and a lot of wounded vehicles are kind of just survival mode engaged. You can see them here. This is Drew Jua, Christopher Norris, David Medina Sr., as well as Cole Sicchetti, all just sitting back and waiting for a caution to get more damage repair fixed up, as their race is not looking great to stay in the lead pack on the draft. They're just too damaged to do so. But up front, the top 24, they're still putting on a show, 2x2. But again, Richard, it's the question of who makes a mistake to force these drivers to go 3 wide, and then that seems to be the catalyst to start the reaction of a caution blossoming. Who will make the mistake? Who will force a mistake? I think it's going to be the big question as we're finishing lap 81 and get into these final stages of this race to prepare for maybe the final pit stop of the night.
Yeah, I think at this point the drivers just should stay calm, just kind of run your race as it is. If you can make, like I said earlier, if you can make a move, make it, but try to do it safely and smartly. We still got a pit stop to make before these drivers can make it to the end of the race. So just drive the race out, pit with your friends, pit with some allies, pit with your teammates, make it a short stop as much as you can so you can be up front, and then you want to start making your moves. But right now it definitely seems like they're all just kind of staying in line, taking it easy, nobody really making any moves or making any looks to go 3 wide. So safe and calm is kind of the name of the game right now.
It really does seem like it is. We have another driver adding to those calling it a night with a DNF. That's going to be Colby DiCarlo, who's going to be the number 22 machine. They have officially called it an evening. Brian Noel, as well as Zach Hall, still sit in pit road. And if you've been in pit road for this long, you might have gotten the notification that you are done. I know Zach Hall was already given that notification. Question in for the 00 is their night officially over. Starting to see a little bit of a split up. Top 5 trying to pull away from the side-by-side action of Larry Yingling. Is trouble behind. That's Steven Stippian in the 81 with the big slide off of turn number 2. He comes back up, trying to get back up to speed. Luckily doesn't get into that second pack, but a big slide and lots of time as Stippian was just hanging on to the back half of this top group and now floundering back in 28th position.
Yeah, great save from Stippian, though, not getting that car completely sideways and bringing out a caution. He's able to get back out on the track, keep it straight. I don't know if he's able to tag onto that group behind him. He might be stuck out in the weeds at this point, so he's going to be hoping for a caution so he can get back up into the fray of this group.
And we got another driver, require damage, and it looks to be a blown engine. Douglas Newbeginn's season starts off with a bang. 33rd place. He might lose a couple of more positions with those that are still racing out there on track that are going to be trying to pass him if they can keep their race centered. But that is a tough blow for the 7 machine that was hoping that this season would have been its turnaround from the bad luck that he's been dealing with. Not going to be the case, but up front, we might have a case of another big one. We're going 3 wide once again, and it's Joshua Kanata trying to push the middle, and it's going to be Jared Talmadge left to the outside on his lonesome. Now Nick Crawford close to that outside wall. Here we go, Richard. Will they hold steady, or will we see another big one?
Yeah, it kind of looked like Joshua Kanata maybe got in the back of Nick Crawford, which kind of gave him a shove to the outside. But they're still keeping it clean. They're not really being overly aggressive with these moves right now. So they're keeping it straight. The cars really aren't darting all over the place or wiggling. So we'll see if these guys decide to keep charging on this outside. They are. He's going to try to stick behind that'd be Cedric Hunter there. That outside line looks like they're going to get that momentum, and that inside or that middle lane has kind of died again.
Kind of dissipated at this current moment. Ryan Bird's going to be the lone driver stuck in the middle, fading backwards as he's now 13th and expected to lose more time up front. Cedric Hunter, he wants to be the lead driver, getting assistance from his teammate from the Snowy Desert Racing crew of going to be Nick Crawford. As seeing Joshua Kanata on the outside trying to hold steady, but it's Cedric Hunter. If you're watching the field, if you look at the stats, the driver that's won the most opening races in the WSSR, it is this 13 machine, and he's looking for another crown, but big wiggle and slide through 1 and 2. They lost all the momentum, but if the 13's up front, this is a scary spot for the rest of the field because you know he can get it done. He did it back in season 9 here at this track as the opener race winner. He'd love to get a second win here at Atlanta.
Yeah, Cedric Hunter, one of the strongest drivers in the opening race of a season. Being back up front, it definitely puts him in a spot to be able to do that. And he's going to get a huge run from Joshua Kanata there. Gets around. He's going to take the lead again as Joshua Kanata lost some major speed trying to make some moves.
It's just trying to put big blocks, it looks like. Kanata's worried. He's seen the moves that Nightmare Fuel has been willing to put on drivers and forcing them backwards. I know Kanata might trust the drivers behind him a little bit more because they race on Monday nights, but Kanata's defensive driving to make sure that he keeps Vincent Sora behind him really checked up that outside lane, and now gives opportunity for Cedric Hunter to lead that outside group. But now Ken Campbell, big charge. Larry Yingling now going to be putting his hat in the picture. The 3-time champ is now closing in, but here's the scare. We got a bunch of lap traffic ahead of the field. Where will they go? Nico Garcia to the apron. He's going to be trying to stay out of the way. We got another cluster of lap cars that are within a lap that these drivers will catch up to.
Love to see Nico Garcia getting out of the way and even doing so and staying on the apron, leaving the racing surface for the cars that are racing on the lead lap. Great work from those lap cars. You don't see that very often, but they did a smart move, stayed on the apron and let these guys by without causing any issues. Joshua Kanata driving through the middle there, getting back up to the bumper of Cedric Hunter. Vincent Sora following through as well. Kanata still trying to make moves. He is not happy with the amount of positions he's lost, and he's trying to get back up to the front.
Yeah, he's trying to find a way to just find footing. The biggest loser is Nick Crawford, though. I think he saw where Justin Malarkey was going to go a lap down, was running, and got concerned that the 73 was going to stay on the racing surface. He stayed high, let off the throttle, and just lost over 8 positions to make sure that if they did have to go 3 wide getting by a lap car, he was at least in line. They weren't trapped 4 wide. You love the respectful move. There's still a lot of racing left. You can get up front if you find the right friends and allies to push you forward. And you love to see that type of a play, thinking big picture and not just, I need to be up front immediately.
Yeah, it's a smart move by Nick Crawford, and sad he just got kind of shuffled back and out of it.
But there's right behind him. Oh no, just spun and tossed around was the 1 machine as he's hard into the outside wall, and another caution flies.
Oh, not a good start or good part of this race for John Forbes there. That's another incident he's kind of getting involved in. So hopefully it's not a meatball and he can get around. But again, just a situation of a checkup. Oh, this is, whoa, ooh, that's the old wreck. Yeah. But yeah, just unfortunate to see John Forbes get involved in that wreck there.
Yeah, it's going to be the 1 machine of John Forbes, the 38 of Christopher Norris. They're going to be the ones that tag one another as the one runs 27th currently. As looked like the drivers were 3 wide, trying to make some moves around one another. But it's one of those things, Richard, of Drivers were stacking on top of one another. It looked to be a slight tag that pushed this one machine around.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happens with this kind of racing, though, is just one little checkup is just a domino effect to everyone behind. But right now, it looks like Cody Reed on the inside with John Forbes there
Get the
in
white
the
shot if we can.
middle.
Yeah, you're going
There
to
we
see
go.
here,
We
it's the
can see a
middle. It's the
lot
middle where we're
more.
going to see that 38 of Christopher Norris in the white just comes flying in and just tags that left rear, gets him around, tosses him to the outside. And unfortunate for last season's champion.
Yeah, that very unfortunate. Kind of looked like Christopher Norris might have thought that Forbes was going to go high and stay high, but the outside line just kind of merged down, and Norris just not slowing down enough, just slightly gets into that rear end of John Forbes and sends him around.
It's kind of, we talked about just slightly under commercial break on the fact that it's so quick, these moments are happening. It's hard to react when a driver, makes that dart move to the down low, or you're assuming a moment's going to happen, it doesn't, and you put yourself in a bad spot. It's so tough to be able to make those quick snapping moves without just ruining your own race. As drivers at the time of this caution, able to come into pit road and get service done. And Richard, if you're pitting now, which everyone has done, this is it. There are no other reasons really coming to pit road unless you feel like tires are that important later on in this race.
Yeah, I don't think tires are going to be that important, because that's going to be a lot of time lost on pit road that it's just not going to make it up. So tires are not going to be an issue for the rest of this race. They're done in the pits. Fuel's going to be topped off. They're all going to be able to make it. I think the only time that we're going to see people on pit road again is either damage, or if we get more late race cautions, and maybe someone wants to take that chance with some fresh tires. But I don't see any more pit stops the rest of this race, even under caution.
Just saw it pop up in the chat. Want to say thank you to Trophy Smack. Trophy Smack, one of our trophy providers here for the WSSR. They've been our provider since season 4. A few first couple of seasons that we had Trophy Smack, drivers were getting championship rings. Then we transferred over to custom championship trophies that the drivers earn if you are the season champion for the WSSR VRS Cup Series. It has been awesome to see the partnership that has blossomed between these two groups. Trophy Smack, primarily known for fantasy sports trophies being made, but you can customize them to your own liking. They've got pre-made, custom-made championship trophies, belts, rings, and more that you can check out on their website. Head on over to trophysmack.com, and when purchasing, remember to use the promo code WSSRSMACK at checkout for 10% off on your Trophy Smack purchase. Thank you so much for Trophy Smack for being one of the primary sponsors of the WSSR. Awesome to have them along with the Season 11 ride. We also want to say thank you to Sim Precision Prints. Head on over to simprecisionprints.shop and check out their wide selection of different items that you can find yourself getting. Remember, when purchasing, go to WSSR. Use the promo code WSSR to get 10% off on your order of anything over $50. Thank you so much to Sim Precision Prints. Precision Prints, performance delivered. Thanks so much to all the awesome sponsors that have tagged along for this season. As green flag is out, it's Larry Yingling, Joshua Kanata, the top two. We've seen some newcomers adding to the mixture. We got Brian McCann also up there in the 8 machine with his iconic split scheme of Dale Earnhardt Sr., Dale Earnhardt Jr., and he's trying to push this 67 to the top spot. Also seeing Drew Jua back into the mix for that 77 on our ticker, 88 on track machine, and a couple of others wanting to get back for another chance. Richard, it looks good up front, but it's good to see some fresh faces going for a chance.
Yeah, some fresh faces back up front. Drew Jua being back up front after being involved in some wrecks as well. So good to see him back up there trying to race for the win. But yeah, that number 8 split scheme there, Brian McCann, very unique scheme for any cars out here. And he's doing a great job pushing. Larry Yingling in the front, keeping those two guys up front and in the clean airs. They're 3 wide again behind them. The aggression is not dropping. They are still wanting to take a 3 wide to make their moves up front.
And guess who's in the middle of all of it? It's Nightmare Fuel bouncing to the outside. They're trying to get by Drew Jua, who forces him in the middle. But also in the middle is going to be Jared Talmadge, trying to push that 88 machine forward as much as he can. Again, Drew Jua, 88 on track, 77 on our ticker board. But up front, there, Larry Yingling, Brian McCann stay in line. Larry Yangling knows how to get some good pace here. He took the pole last season here at Atlanta. He will try to stay up front as much as he can, but looking behind, you know, there's some drivers that have inching and have an inkling that they might have a chance for this win. That's Cedric Hunter, the rookie, the 4 of Colin Carroll, would love to make a huge splash on his baby race here for the WSSR VRS Cup Series, but you can see that madness. It's the growth, it's the buildup. 3 wide, and hold your breath. Will it go 4, or will they see a wreck, or can they keep it together? And looks like it's all space. The teammates rip the top. Sora, Talmadge, they make it work.
Yeah, Kanata looked like he got a little loose there, got squirrely, which kind of checked up that middle lane and forced Drew to the outside. He's going to fall into the middle lane now as they're too wide. He's going to try to catch back up and get back up to where he was. But yeah, you got to, if you want to keep that momentum in that middle lane, you can't get squirrely like Kanata did. But they kept it straight. No caution again. These guys are back to 2 wide racing as they go into 3 and 4.
Now going to be seeing that outside groove. It's Shane Tarian. Does he go low? Does he stay high? He'll stay on the outside with Nightmare Fuel. We'll see Tarian, Sora, Talmadge, and also going to be seeing the additive driver of Andrew Medlin in the 12 machine try to tag along. And we've had all race. And if you had a real life spotter, you've been given the knowledge of who's the fast drivers that have gone up front consistently. And it's been that 51 and the 27 that have constantly been getting up front all night long. You could say that John Forbes was doing well, but he's been caught up in so many wrecks. He's just staying attached to the tail end of this lead pack. But Richard, with the fact that we've got ourselves 47 laps to go, there's still a lot of racing action, but where are you wanting to place yourself with each lap ticking away?
Yeah, there's still a lot of racing to go. And, you know, we compare these, you know, we've been comparing this to like Daytona and Talladega, but it is a full throttle drafting style track like those two. But the biggest difference also that this one doesn't have that those do, it's a mile shorter. It's only a mile and a half versus 2.5 mile tracks. So they still have, I mean, 47 laps might seem like a long time and a lot of laps, but those are going to tick down really quick as these drivers, they're running 30-second laps. These laps are ticking by really fast, and they have little time to make moves how narrow this track is as well. So, I mean, if you want to make passes, you've got to be extremely aggressive if you want to make them work.
It's so tough from us up in the booth. We know, and the drivers know, we want to call out for great racing runs for some drivers, but that commentator's curse is so powerful in our hands because there's a few drivers, I'm looking at this lead pack, that we haven't really talked about, or we have talked about with their bad luck that are re-emerging into this race. And I'm going to risk it and say it. Cody Reed is inside of our top 10. He's now running 7th. Samuel Garcia just inside of our top 15. He still has a chance, and he wants to continue on solid starts. He had a great start to last season. He wants to carry some great momentum to start off season 11. And other drivers, we got Pete Tart, who was caught up in earlier wrecks. He's still in the fight. And John Forbes, he was involved with that last wreck. You can see the one there. He's still there with Christopher Norris, who spun him directly behind.
John Forbes is still in the pack for the lead group here, but he does have damage on that right front still, so he's not going to be able to make moves in the front by himself. He has got to stay in the draft to be fast, and he is forcing the number 4 up to the wall, trying to keep him up there so he can stay in the draft, but he's got some help from Christopher Norris also behind him. They're going to make the run and get around that number 4.
It looked like for the 4, he drove into turn 3, got extremely tight, just swooped straight up to that outside wall, really lost all the momentum, and that could be a big blow for the rookie. The 4 of Colin Carroll's had a great evening, but they need to get in line and don't lose the draft. As up front, it's Vincent Sora, Jared Talmadge, the teammates. They stay in line. Andrew Medlin, I mean, they talk about bad luck. Medlin went on a streak of bad luck, it felt like, for seasons on end, but the 12 runs in 3rd with Cody Reed now inside of the top 5. He doesn't want to call it quits on trying to go back-to-back on winning the opening race here for the WSSR. When it comes to super speedway races, this 25 just has a knack to be right there at the end.
And you know, his win last season to open season 10 up, he could do it here again, but that changed his mindset for all of season 10. He was not going to run a full season, but when you lock yourself into the playoff, your mindset changes. That could be also a deciding factor here. He could be going for the win to win that open season race, but we'll see if that changes his mindset so he can maintain and stay in that playoff chase as well.
Seeing the bouncing and moving back and forth going on. Cody Reed now going to be leading that inside row with Shane Terrian trying to give him the push. A lot of wiggling between Talmadge and Sora, but they finally get in line, exit the corner. The 51 will lead this lap, but Cody Reed is feeling a lot more comfortable and confident. I know Cody Reed's dad usually watching these broadcasts. Lenny's got to be having a smile knowing that he wasn't really able to watch Cody Reed race at the end of the Monday night regular season with the ISRC Cup Series. Some unfortunate moments happened that took away a chance for him to run in the playoffs. But why not set the tone early and say, I'm locked into the playoffs for season 11 of the WSSR with one win. There's still 40, making now 39 laps to go, but Cody Reed leads that lap.
Cody Reed doing a fantastic job as came from the back of the field and is leading this race with the help of Shane Terrian behind him. But Nightmare Fuel is not making it easy. They are charging it out on the outside there as well, as he's got teammates on the outside working together. So Cody Reed has got to get help from behind him. He doesn't have teammates really near him from behind as well.
A huge check up in the middle, a little slight contact between the 40 machine of Pete Tart and the 13 of Cedric Hunter on the outside. They were able to keep it together, but that slight wiggle checked up, losing ground are some of those drivers further on back and try not to lose the draft. Ryan Kelly luckily was able to keep his foot in the throttle, will not lose the draft for himself, but our top 21 drivers still attached to the draft, still trying to fight with a chance to win here this evening. A lot of racing going back and forth. Jared Talmadge, Vincent Sora, they're still trying to test their fates, test what big bumps they need to do to make sure they're the ones crossing the line at the end of this race. And, you know, with the fact that there's still about 38 more laps, 37 more laps to go, I mean, Richard, this is still plenty of time to test little moves that you want to make if you know you're going to be the lead drivers coming to the end of the line.
Yeah, it's a good time to test some moves. Well, you saw a little bit of a moment there from the number 4, got a little loose going into turn 1, but able to keep it straight as Christopher Norris is going to fall in behind him. But Christopher Norris, he's got to find something to move back up unless he's playing it safe. So, but great save by the number 4. But yeah, these drivers, it's time to start testing something, seeing what you can do to make the moves, because you got to get up front if you want to win this race. You got to be the first car to cross that finish line. So, and if you're behind someone, Shane Terrian looking to the middle there, not sure what he was looking at doing there, but these drivers trying to make moves, still 3 wide further in the field as well.
Going up to lap traffic, we'll see where we see Cole Cicchetti as well as Nico Garcia when they come off the exit of turn number 2. As we were taking a closer look at that 4 machine, the Dynaco blue by the 4, trying to make their way forward is Colin Carroll, who has already had a couple of moments during this green flag run. And each lap that ticks away, each time these drivers have to test their fate on their tires. Will it just randomly tighten up, or do they have the spacing to hold steady? I think that's the big question for some of these drivers, because 20 laps ago was the last time all these drivers expected to make their final pit stop. Some took tires, others just took fuel. Our top 5 all took tires, in between all this pack are drivers that just took fuel, and I think the tires are starting to show, and that's why we're seeing our top runners able to hold their line so much cleaner than those in the middle.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I said, tire wear does matter here after a while. You know, the fresh air tires are the one that car's going to stick to the surface, be able to be a little balanced out, steady. But once those tires start wearing out, like I said, the car will get a little tight. It'll want to push up to the wall. It won't want to turn as easy. So they got to get out of the gas a little bit. And that's what you see a lot of these checkups, a lot of these guys getting in the bumpers of others, and a lot of the squirrely back and forth driving you'll see.
Looking at the field, still our top 21 drivers in this pack, all side by side, trying to pick their lane and pick their time, go for the big moves. Further deeper in this pack, you've got the likes of Ryan Kelly in 21st, John Forbes Jr. in 20th, Ryan Bird in 19th, Christopher Norris in 18th. But you look at the second pack, it's being led by Steven Stimpian, Brian P. Johnson, David Medina, Christopher Wade, drivers that have been involved with multiple different incidences, just trying to stay attached, with also Major Morales. And those are your drivers in the second group. They're having a little bit of a tag along by the 7 of Douglas Newbegin, who was able to get his repairs done and back out on track. He loves the fact that he's there, but we had a scare up front. Cody Reed, bad bump for Vincent Sora in the middle of 3 and 4. He gets pushed to the middle, and he's heading backwards.
Yeah, he got stuck in the sucker hole, and Ken Campbell gets hit a little bit, gets smacked into the wall.
And there goes
but he's keeping it
Garcia.
straight. Oh, a couple cars into the wall there. That was Ken Campbell. Heavy contact into the outside wall. He's going to lose this group in the front as well.
As well as Samuel Garcia, that's going to be losing the top point, and meatball flag has been given out to the 15. You can see that right front. It is scraping. It is tough to handle, and down into pit road goes Ken Campbell. His race is done as we stay green. That's tough to take to deal with that type of situation when you were running so well all night long, and it just goes up in smoke with 30 laps to go. Now we're left with 19 drivers in this lead pack. It's now Shane Terrian and Vincent Sora that stay side by side as they exit out of 4.
Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow for Ken Campbell, but the race for the lead is still heating up. Vincent Sora wants to have a strong start to his season and make it a lot easier for him to maintain and get into the playoffs. And starting off with this race, starting off the season with a win, that'll guarantee him for playoffs for the most part, as long as he can maintain top 20 in points. But he's definitely having a lot better start to his season here in season 11, leading and fighting for the lead of this race.
But we know at any moment things can go awry, and that's why we keep our eyes on this top group. Also, all the other little small packs we have going on, there could be frustrations that mount up of why aren't we in line? Why are we, side by side? Why aren't you being the pusher or not? That could cause drivers to have some issues further on back, but up front, it's all about the pushing and shoving. Who can you trust to get you moving forward? And some of these drivers have those that they can trust, and they're trusting one another. As Vincent Sora, a huge squeeze on Shane Terry, trying to hold back the pace by the 9 as they go through the corner, just showing the skill, showing the talent of all these drivers. And this is one of the top leagues you could be racing in, and Richard, they're proving it right now with these moves.
Yeah, they're making some extremely aggressive moves to either maintain the lead, pull back that inside line, or even make the passes. And the skill level of all the drivers within this league is so amazing to watch, as that inside lane getting a run again. Shane Terrian trying to get up beside Vincent Sora again and fight for that lead, but that inside line is not giving up so easily, as that 3 cars on the outside lane trying to get a breakaway from Joshua Kanata, but Kanata's got a good run from the draft. He's going to be able to catch back up and get right up to the bumper.
Look at that from Terrian. You can see where Trujillo lies, trying to go up, trying to go down, line up these bumpers so when you get the big run, you're not spinning out the driver ahead of you, but assisting them to go faster. And every time you exit the corner, you're trusting the driver ahead of you is just going to stay consistent, hit the same marks. You know where they're going to be. And as well for yourself, you're hoping to continue to hit the same marks and continue to be where you want to line up as we continue to stay side by side all the way through these top 19 drivers, and they count down the laps. 25 to go. Gonna be 24 when they cross the line. And Richard, if you're those drivers, back outside of the top 15, if you're Christopher Norris, Ryan Bird, Tart, Forbes, Kelly, you might have the damage. Maybe you don't feel like you have the speed, but if you're gonna have a chance for a better finish than where you run right now, you need to make the moves at this moment.
You need to make the moves, yes, but you also need to make them with somebody. You can't do it by yourself. You need the draft. You need to get behind someone. You need someone to push you. So they've got to make the friendships. They've got to make the alliances back here and try to communicate when they want to go and hope that someone goes with them and pushes them forward and get them both moving forward to try to go for this top 10 or win.
Riding on board, third driver on the outside, Andrew Medlin from Storm Motorsports, a driver that has just been trying to find his footing to prove that he does belong. He has been having strong runs at tracks, but sometimes doesn't always get the finish that he feels like he deserves. Here tonight, he's fallen to the back. He's gone to the front. This old Dominion machine just wants a solid finish. And a top 3 would honestly feel like a win with some of the past luck that the 12 has had. But if you can find a friend or an ally, but oh no, they're having trouble further behind in this lead pack. John Forbes, Christopher Norris, all getting a little bit of a spill. And it's John Forbes losing the draft. Also going to be Pete. Looks like Tart, Ryan Kelly, Christopher Norris. Slight damage all around. Norris with some big damage from that 38's front right bumper. He'll lose the draft. Tart's got to be careful. He might lose the draft. Same for Kelly, as John Forbes is absolutely gone. That leaves us with just 15 drivers now attached to this draft, looking good on pace.
That all kind of started with Brad Delph. He got stuck in the middle there and then shuffled back and tried to move up to get in front of Norris, but was not clear, and then got into Christopher Norris, which pushed him up against the wall, and then everyone just kind of fanned out. So all starting with Brad Delph trying to put his car where he wasn't clear enough to do. Unfortunate for Christopher Norris, who is having such a strong run, getting back up to the front of the field. But Nick Crawford taking it to the middle with Cedric Hunter there. They're going to try to make the move to go forward in the middle lane.
It's time to make some friends, time to make some allies, and maybe some enemies here late. 20 laps to go as Crawford as well as Hunter work as tandem from Snowy Desert Racing. They're trying to catch up to former ally members of Joshua Kanata back on their Monday night days. And they're trying to push their way forward, and currently it's just 5 drivers side by side up ahead. And Joshua Kanata, does he bounce low? Does he stay in the middle? The 16, not sure where to fully commit. He'll have to push Drew Jua to the middle groove, but everyone's still stacked far enough further back. It is all going to be Nightmare Fuel on the outside groove. They need to get some more help, but Andrew Medlin with the side drafting of 3 wide, he's losing pace. They're looking like a Christmas tree with how stacked they are. Here we go, Richard down into turn number 3. I'm getting nervous because these drivers look like they know it's time to make the big moves, but they all know 3 wide is such a dangerous place to be.
Oh, it's under 20 laps to go. The aggression is through the roof again. They know it is time to start making moves. They can't wait any longer, and that's what this 3-wide racing is doing. You're seeing a lot of side drafting, a lot of shuffling back and forth, trying to find a place to go and what line's going faster. But they've shuffled the 12 Medlin out to the outside there. Gavin Rogers is going to be pushing Cedric Hunter in the middle lane there. They're going to try to catch up to the front of the field and hoping Medlin doesn't stick out there much longer, because that's just going to slow that group down. They're not going to be able to make the move. But Medlin has got the draft of Kanata now. Was Nick Crawford, that middle lane starting to suffer a little bit. They're not able to get the run and clear these guys on the outside.
And in the middle of this pack, we really haven't talked a lot about Gavin Rogers is still in this fight. He's going to be lingering behind Cedric Hunter, and they're going to be with one another in this group. And a lot of drivers were searching for friends, searching for allies. And Gavin Rogers was trying to find some friends to work with because his teammate did not sign up for this race. And you know, you try to make some alliances of, hey, if we're in this scenario late, could you work with me? I'll work with you. And it looks like it's all starting to line up. And Andrew Medlin, sadly for the 12, everyone that got by him, they've got friends. This 12, all of his allies are out of this race or further on back where they're not attached to this draft. That is a tough spot when you know you have so many alliance drivers around you and none of them are yours.
Yeah, it's never fun to have nobody that you can work with. But I mean, right now you just you gotta hope for a move that you can make and trust someone's gonna follow you, but it doesn't always work out because it's a big gamble. If you make the move to try to make the pass and nobody goes with you, you're gonna lose more than you're gonna gain. You know, you might have gained 1 spot if someone did go with you, but you're gonna lose 6 to 7, if not more. So it's a hard decision to make, and you gotta make them smartly and at the right time for them to succeed and be on your benefit.
Other drivers that are entering now into the top 5. You got the rookie number 4 machine of Colin Carroll. He's starting to move his way forward. Ryan Bird following right behind that 4 machine. And you can see that second pack. They're trying their best to run down and catch up to the group ahead. Problem is they're just running too slow. They're running similar lap times to a 10th or 2 slower. They're losing ground on the leaders that are side by side. So you need to find some extra pace if you're able to. Top 16 drivers are in this lead pack, doing their best to stay ahead. You can see that second group. They're getting more drivers of those that have been pushed out from the lead pack. The problem, again, a lot of these drivers that are in that second group are so damaged, they just cannot get you moving. Up front, still Shane Terry and Vincent Soros side by side, but drivers outside of the top 10, you've got Andrew Medlin, Ryan Bird, Gavin Rogers, Brad Delp, Brian McCann, Larry Yingling, as well as Pete Tart, going to be those other drivers outside looking in with 13, soon to be 12 laps to go. Everywhere you look, you try to find an opportunity to take someone's mistake and make it your opportunity.
Yeah, it's one thing you got to look for is when someone makes a mistake, you have to pounce on it instantly. So it's a lot of patience, a lot of waiting around, waiting for something to happen. But I think once we get under these 10 laps to go, like under 10 laps to go, the aggression's going to go even higher than it's been all race. These drivers, they're getting down to the last bit of this race and they're running out of time to make moves. So A lot of these drivers in the back, they might decide to follow someone who decides to take it 3 wide, take it to the inside, take it to the outside, take it to the middle. They'll follow anybody they can to get as many positions as they can as they're running out of time with just 11 laps to go in this race.
Trying to make their way forward. You look at the past here at Atlanta. We've ran here 4 times on this configuration of this track. Season 5, Season 8, Season 9, and last season at Season 10. Of those 4 races, we've had to go to overtime twice. That was last season and Season 8. Overtime could always be a calling, and it seems like for the WSSR, there's always that lingering late caution with 20 to go. Back in those days of Season 4 to 8, it felt like it was always going to happen of a late caution coming out that was just going to spice things up. Here tonight, we talk about how the intensity is going to ramp up for this lead pack of 16. We also know that those other packs that are growing, that second pack that's got 8, 9 drivers attached, they're also going to get a little bit of antsy knowing, okay, our time to catch up is gone. It's about getting the best finish we can, and that's 18th, where Major currently runs, or 17th, where you find David Medina, where he runs currently.
Yeah, and that's the thing about that second group is, you might not realize that you're out of time, that you want to get those extra places. You might just stick around behind everybody and just kind of maintain where you are, get the points that you have. You're kind of made your bed at this point. So it's an unfortunate situation for them. They got shuffled out of lines that they didn't want to get shuffled out of, but we've still got some major racing up front here as Christopher Norris gets out of the way for this lead group. Gave a little bit of draft, it seemed like, to Nick Crawford, but he's going to stay on the track. He gets up into the 72.
And caution is out. Christopher Norris just wiping out the back half of the field. Oh no, Ryan Bird's broke. He gets back into Larry Engling as the second pack drives on by. Calamity and late wreck. Well, we're not in overtime just yet, but we're going to have a show here later on. Here is the incident and what went down. That's actually a different wreck that happened, but it was Christopher Norris in the 38 machine who found himself going a lap down. He was a broken machine. He currently is in 27th position and just was getting passed by the leaders and then just comes flying up the track. I don't know if something broke, if he went up there to just give a smash, because for Norris, if you remember, the reason he got pushed further on back and lost the draft and got damaged was because of Brad Delph's situation that kind of blossomed into the wreck. Just wait and see here.
Yeah, it was a very odd situation there. We've seen all the lap cars kind of stay on the... It just looked like he got tight. The car just did not want to turn. Very odd situation there, but nothing egregious, it seemed. It just the car didn't want to turn based on what we're seeing from Norris's car.
As we're going to see, his steering wheel's already broke, and it just never turned. It never slowed down. But at that point, you've already been running multiple laps that slow. You know what your car's going to do kind of at this point, that you have to slow down to make the corner. And it looks like for Norris, it just kept his foot in the throttle. Said, well, that's where my car's going.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like that, but we'll have to see any kind of ruling on that later down the road for next week. But very odd wreck, a very questionable situation there, because like I said, all the lap cars have been staying on the apron, letting this lead group by, but not this time. Norris stays on the track, and the car just didn't want to turn up into the Brad Delph, causing the caution. This is going to bring out some major drama now, as we've got 5 laps to go, and this brings the entire field back together. But that second group, that is the thing they wanted to see, caution, and brings them back into the front group to be able to challenge for this win.
And it's not everyone deciding, as we were looking at that replay for pit road. Top going to be 8 drivers stayed out. They're going to be on 49 lap old tires. For Ryan Kelly, he just took 2 tires on his last stop, so his left sides are burnt down at this point. Some drivers entered pit road, took 2 tires. That's going to be Drew Jua, Larry England, Brian McCann, 2-tire call for themselves. 12th on back, took 4 tires. That's Cedric Hunter, Gavin Rogers, Joshua Kanata, Cody Reed, as well as David Medina, Major, Samuel Garcia, and many of others. But up front, those top 7 going to be led by Vincent Sora, Nick Crawford, Jared Tallman, Shane Terrian, Andrew Medlin, Pete Tart, as well as going to be seeing Ryan Kelly and Christopher Wade. Richard, I mean, they're stacking up. They're getting ready to go racing here. But what a call to stay out, and what a call for those that are just taking 2 tires.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I don't understand the call to take tires here. I mean, it is a drafting style track. Yeah, I did say that tires do matter. They do get a little tight, but I don't see newer tires being that big of a difference to make the moves with just a few laps to go. But, I mean, I could eat my words here in just a couple of laps. We'll have to see what these drivers on the fresh tires can do. But I think for the top 4 to 8 drivers, they're pretty much set in stone of where they're going to, well, not necessarily top 8, but at least the front row is almost where they're going to finish.
Just got a comment in the chat by Shane Terrian saying, my hands are killing me. Again, the controller driver, only controller driver out on track. Again, he is steering with a joystick, and the throttles are in his trigger fingers. He's trying his best. Runs second car on the outside. Wants a chance to win. But it's going to be Vincent Sora and Nick Crawford, your lead drivers. It's going to be 4 laps to go. Do we need to head to overtime, or can we stay clean and green? It's time to find out as green flags back in the air. Race 1 for season 11 of the WSSR VRS Cup Series is back underway. And Richard, it's the inside lane. It's the teammates. They stay in line.
Stay in line, and a great jump from Vincent Sora with 4 laps to go. Drew Jua making a big move on the outside. He's going to try to take it 3 wide next to Brett the Tart there in the 40 machine, number 35 on the ticker.
Whoa, Nick Crawford goes around. Crawford gets spun. They're colliding. It's another big one down into turn number 3. We're heading to overtime, and it's all Vincent Sora, Shane Terrian that make it through. Everyone else trying to just scamper their way through this madness.
Another big wreck late in the race, and all the drivers that pit for tires just caused an issue for themselves because of the spin there into turn 3. But a lot of good drivers also getting through that wreck. So this is really shaking things up again.
And it's a big move, big block. And away goes Nick Crawford. You're going to see there, Nick Crawford's going to dart to the inside. Vincent Sora pinches him, and there's just no space as he goes off the nose of the 27 of Jared Talmadge. And that's the same move that Crawford's been watching both Vincent Sora and Jared Talmadge make. And they didn't give the space. They said, we'll take you with me instead. And that is a big wreck for a lot of drivers.
Yeah, Nick Crawford definitely trying to do the same move that Nightmare Fuel's been doing, but they denied that, but caused a huge wreck for the rest of the field. Unfortunate to see a lot of fast drivers involved in that. A lot of tires that are just not spinning due to toe links broke. And that's going to be the end of a lot of those drivers' races now.
Here is a long laundry list of drivers with required damage. Nick Crawford, Pete Tart, Jared Talmadge, Andrew Medlin going to be joining the ranks of Ryan Bird, Chris Stitz, Ken Campbell, and Zach Hall, who all still sit in pit road with required damage. And with this wreck, it puts us with only 22 drivers left on the lead lap, and everyone else just hoping to salvage something by the end of today. And that is a wild one here tonight, as we've got ourselves up front going to be seeing Vincent Sora, Shane Terrian. They stay up ahead. Drew Jua, who decided to take just 2 tires on the last pit stop. He's going to be 3rd driver in line. Ryan Kelly on old tires. Then everyone from 5th on back going to have 4 freshies as they get ready to take off and go. But man, what a charge it's been. What a big moves we're taking. And for Vincent Sora, what teammates are left? Because they're all gone at this point.
Yeah, you lost a lot of teammates in that. Now it's going to be hard to make the moves you were making earlier, but it's going to be a mad dash to the checkered flag now. There's a lot of fast cars here in the front as expected, but the fresh tires might show up and show out now. Drew Jua, the highest driver with the newest set of tires, even though only 2, that still can prove to be a very useful and smart tactic that he used there. And he's in a very good striking chance to get the lead and win this race.
And there are a lot of drivers that are damaged that are going to be on the inside to watch out for on this restart. Again, our top 2, they're pretty set. on the inside, Drew Jewell. He's got some front left damage he's dealing with. Major front left damage for the 8 machine of Brian McCann, which is going to be placing all the drivers that are 6th on back to 7th or 8th on back. Got to be careful on this restart. There's no more reasons to go into pits at this point. You made your bed, you're going to lay in it, as this is our first attempt at overtime. It's quite simple. It's green, white, checkered. It's going to be 2 laps to go when we go green. If we take the white flag, this race is official. Whoever crosses the line first wins this race. But if we get a caution under this first lap that we go green on, we will head into second attempt of overtime. We've got 3 attempts if needed. Buckle your seatbelts, crank up the volume. It is time for your Season 11 Race 1 to come to its conclusion. Will this be the last restart, or do we need another attempt? Vincent Sora's been up front all night long, but can he hold that top spot? As pace cars into pit road, we enter the restart zone, and overtime number 1 is underway as Vincent Sora, Drew Jewell try to take off and go, but that outside row is where I feel the most comfortable when they get up to speed. Richard, that's where they gotta get going quickly now if they want to take that top spot.
Yeah, they've got to get up to speed fast, but those cars with the damage, they're going to hinder a lot of speed for that inside lane. Joshua Kanata understands that he tried to look up high, but no, Gavin Rogers is going to be there. Gavin Rogers now going to get around Brian McCann. He's going to try to get around the damaged cars as well. Going to make moves. He's going to be just outside, knocking the door to the top 5 as well. But we've got Vincent Sora still leading as they're
wrecking behind. Do they get to the line? Is there going to be a caution
before the white flag?
We stay green. This is it. They're 3 wide for the lead position, and it's Larry Yingling taking the top spot. Behind him, we'll be finding some assistance from Joshua Kanata. Vincent Sora, no friends, no allies. He'll fall to the back. It's going to be 4 drivers ahead. Yingling, also going to be Kanata, Drew Jewell, Cody Reed. Where do you go for this top position? It's all going to be Yingling for now. Kanata's trying to make a move to the outside groove. They're going to be side by side off the exit of the corner. They beat, they bang. It's Kanata winning at Atlanta.
Joshua Kanata makes a staple at Season 11 and takes the win here in Atlanta away from Larry Yingling. Fantastic work from Joshua Kanata to finish this race out on top.
He did every move possible in getting by one of the best. Larry Yingling only could just sit and wait as Kanata side drafted, took the momentum, and victory calls for the 16 machine. Yingling will take 2nd, Drew Jewell will take 3rd, Cody Reed 4th, Tarian 5th, but it's all the 16. Oh, what a move. He was up front for most of the night, found all the ways that drivers were making passes, and he had to do it all on his own. Richard, I mean, that was one thing we were talking about. You needed an ally, you needed a friend. Josh said, I'll do it on my lonesome, and he'll take the victory here tonight at Atlanta. Congratulations to this 16 machine. What a way to start out Season 11 for us. We will step away. When we come back, we have the post-race show. We'll talk to Joshua Kanata, Larry Yingling, Drew Jewell, and a Spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WSSR VRS Cup Series Season 11 Race 1. What a run there late. Our third out of 5 Atlanta races that had to go to overtime, and it was a last lap, last corner pass coming to the front stretch where the 16 had to do everything in his power by himself to get by the 3-time champ and gets it done at the end of the day. Josh, it's Sam and Richard up in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
I mean, you had to make the move. You were there all night long, leading laps, leading lines, but you had to make the pass there late. How are you feeling coming away and being a WSSR VRS Cup Series winner?
Oh, my throat hurts. I was just yelling so loud. My teammates probably blew their ears out, but oh my God, I was just hoping we were gonna be in position at the end and hope something went our way. And I got a huge push from Cedric off of 4 coming to the white flag, and with all those guys battling up front, I figured, all right, I'm just gonna throw it to the apron and we're gonna hope for the best. And I got lucky during one of these things finally. But I figured it was one of our only chances to get a win this year, so might as well make the most of it.
Yeah, fantastic work tonight, Joshua. I mean, we saw your growth you had last season as well. You know, a lot of pretty decent runs near the end of the season, but to finally cap it off and start season 11 with a win, not having a lot of teammates up front. I mean, how hard was it to make the decisions on when to move and make the passes that you had to make?
I mean, on those last 2 restarts, I was just hoping to get to the bottom because I figured those, few guys that stayed out, towards the end of that long run, we were all pushing up to the high lane. So I figured get down to the bottom as quick as we can because they're probably going to get shoved up whether they really want to or not. Because that pit stop before, I think I took only left sides and I was really struggling. But I was just hoping that maybe the lane would clear down low and I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't really know how that happened, but just got right place, right time, and that's really about it.
I mean, Josh, like we said, I mean, we've seen you grow as a driver these last couple of seasons. You made it to the finals at times. Last season, you had a chance for a win, but gave it to Jared Talmadge. How does this one feel on the fact that we've seen you win on Monday nights? Now you're winning here on Wednesdays. How much does this win mean for yourself as a driver that we've covered here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting?
It's everything. I mean, this is the most competitive league I have ever been in any game, any league, any car, doesn't matter. These guys are bringing it every single week, and even at plate tracks, you'll see those same couple of guys keep rising to the front. I mean, I know Vincent was up there for a good chunk of the race. I know Larry was up there a lot. Drew. All these guys that are constantly top 5 winning races. And so to, finally to be able to, get into victory lane, it definitely means a lot. I'm hoping this will be the start of something, but just gotta take it race by race, but we're gonna enjoy this one for a while.
Well, I'd imagine you got some people you want to thank, so the floor is now yours, Josh, for anyone else who would like to shout out.
First off, as always, thank you to you guys for putting on a good show. I hope we put on a good one for a season opener. Everybody who's watching, we can't do it without you guys. Obviously my teammates, they helped me a lot during the race, and it's a shame a few of them got kind of caught up there at the end, but just happy to be here. So thank you to everybody involved with this league, and fingers crossed this won't be the only time you hear from me this season.
Well, that will be your WSSR VRS Cup Series Season 11 opener winner, the number 16 of Joshua Kanata, taking the Atlanta win. Josh, congratulations on this victory, and good luck next week at Rockingham.
Thank you, guys.
That's going to be from Victory Lane. We go to second place, the driver who attempted to try to keep that top spot. He'll come away second here tonight. It's Larry Yingling in that 67 machine. Larry, it's Sam and Richard up in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
I mean, Larry, you were up front battling at times. You were dealing with some slight damage for yourself. What was going on through your head there in that final restart, trying to go for that win late?
Well, I knew I was the first. I'm pretty sure I was the first guy up top with new tires. So I was hoping maybe the first 4 or 5, whatever, will get trapped on a bomb that I can make a 3 wide up top. But then it kind of broke up top, so I went down low behind the can and pushed my teammate, and he immediately told me he had too much damage. So So that's when I pulled back up, and that gave me a big run to Drew. Then I was going to stay committed to him, but then he and Vinny made, I think, a little contact, and that kind of slowed their momentum. Then I just went left and immediately took the lead entering one, and I knew it definitely wasn't over then. I didn't know if Josh behind me had a pusher or anything, but I knew he would get a pretty big run. I kind of wish I blocked a little bit more off of forward, but I was a little worried that I would just block us both into the wall and we wouldn't have a chance. So I definitely glad I got second after avoiding a couple big wrecks.
You did a great job.
Yeah, you did a fantastic job dodging a lot of those big wrecks, getting out of there clean. And yeah, that last coming out of turn 4, even it looked like you had that win, but were you expecting Joshua Kanata to be able to make that move that he did to get that side draft just enough to get around you?
Yeah, I didn't know if he was getting pushed, but I knew where he was. It would start packing air on my right rear, and he would get a big run. And the way we were both pointed, I was afraid if I just start turning right, then I'm going to go straight into the wall and look like an idiot.
I mean, overall, though, Larry, I mean, it's still a great start for your season. I know we got a lot of different racetracks ahead of us. We're heading to Rockingham, Dover, Texas. How does this start of a race of the season feel like you're preparing you for these upcoming races?
Well, I'm definitely glad I got a top 5. Got some good race points. Next week, I'm pretty sure is Rockingham, and I've raced there a handful of times, and I either run really good and something bad luck just wipes me out, or I just run horrendous there. So one day, hopefully, I finish really good there. And Dover, I struggled last season. I think a lot of people did. So I'm definitely glad I came out here with some good points.
Well, it's awesome to watch you perform here tonight, Larry. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Definitely shout out my teammates Ryan Kelly, Brian McCann, and Kevin Hashbrown. Thanks to my sponsors, Cody Glencock's Music, Port City Cards, and Muffin Sports Cards on Instagram, and Sim Precision Prints for your 3D printing needs. And always shout out to you guys for the broadcast, and see you at Rockingham.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call. That's going to be the 67 of Larry Yingling coming away second here tonight. Congratulations on that run, Larry, and good luck next week at Rockingham.
Thank you, sir.
As we move from second, we go down to third to talk to Drew Jua, as this 77 has been having a good run. Sorry, Drew, to take you away from looking at the replays. Third place here tonight. I know you had an up and down evening for yourself, but coming away third there late, almost a chance to go for the win. How are you feeling after your performance here tonight?
Like you said, an up and down day. We started on pole, led some laps and kind of lost track position, got in a wreck, repaired all our damage, got up through the field, sped a pit road, got up through the field again, and I was pushing chain there that super long run, and it was a lot of fun. Just with the side draft on how the tires were burned. It's just a plow box in second, especially. So took tires there and gave ourselves a chance. Got in that wreck that forced us to go to GWC and had a little bit of nose damage. And I just picked the wrong way to go. Looking back at it, I probably either should have pushed Vincent or taken it bottom. I took the top just because I didn't want to defend, because I didn't know if Larry knew that I had left front damage. So I felt like I gave myself the best chance to win making that move. It was just the wrong one tonight, and it kind of described our night for Lucky Ducks. All of us got into incidents and just some misfortunes tonight, but regardless, it was a lot of fun. Felt like we were able to get to the field pretty nicely, and it was a lot of fun, I would say.
Yeah, Drew, a fantastic recovery. You were kind of in the center and start of the first big one of the night. You guys were 4 wide. What was kind of going through y'all's head when y'all were calling over the radio 4 wide, 4 wide, 4 wide for like 2 turns and half a straightaway?
Yeah, I was stressed because I knew the stage was coming up, so I didn't really want to fully lift. But Atlanta, unfortunately, it's not like real life where you can go 4 wide. All it takes is a little bit of net code or a little bit of contact or someone not being too far give it enough space. It just takes one little mistake and you wreck like we did. So we were lucky to only get about 2 minutes. I thought the way I got hit, especially at the end of that wreck, I thought that it was just over. But lucky to get 2 minutes of damage and be able to recover and almost win the race tonight. I mean, I've been pretty good on the plate checks. Won, I believe it was last year at Talladega, but I haven't been able to run a full race in Atlanta. So nice to finally get a good finish here tonight, and looking forward to next week.
We cannot wait to see that run. Drew, it was a blast to see you go through tonight's race. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, shout out to Meals for Wheels, No Kid Hungry. Shout out to you guys and for all you guys do in the broadcast booth. Shout out to all the people I worked with tonight. It was a lot of fun running up front. And shout out to the people that make this league go. So, like I said, looking forward to next week, and hopefully we can finish 2 spots better.
That's going to be the 77 of Drew Jua coming away third here tonight. Congratulations on that finish, Drew, and good luck next week at Rockingham.
Thank you.
As we move from third place, we go down to talk to 8th place finisher. That will be the 50 machine of Samuel Garcia, who also will take our Whiplash SimCam's biggest mover of the race. Started 41st, moved up 33 positions to grab a top 10. And Sam, you were up front. You got bounced around a couple of times. Ultimately, you take a top 10. How are you feeling after your performance here this evening?
I feel great. This is a really much needed top 10. I avoided like 5-6 different accidents throughout the whole race, which was pretty crazy. But I'm feeling great right now. This is a really big start for me. It's my second season here. I'm just this is huge, and I'm really glad I got a top 10 here.
Yeah, Sam, a fantastic finish, a top 10 in your second season, especially for the race opener. I mean, you were doing some really good work last season. We saw the growth in you as well. You did not qualify very well, but was able to keep it calm and get up here to the top 10. What was going through your head through all the wrecks that you were able to make it through and still be able to finish up here?
Oh man, I was just telling myself to stay patient because whenever you come to these races, you just never know. Like any lap, like you could have like a huge pile up, or not even a huge pile up, like a 5-car pile up. But I just told myself like, hey, we're just gonna stay patient. We're not gonna make any crazy moves. We're not in a huge rush to make it up front. But yeah, I just stayed calm. Whenever I was up there, I tried to make sure that I don't do anything that will cost the race. I forgot what lap it was, but I was stuck on the wall there for a little bit trying to get by Cody there, which dropped me to the back quite a bit. I was up running like 20th, but thankfully that caution came out. I was able to avoid those 2 incidents that happened during those past 5 laps, and just staying calm and patient throughout the whole race.
I know, Sam, we've seen you have a lot of success at these super speedway style courses, but we're heading to intermediate tracks. We're heading to Rockingham, Dover, and then Texas is our next 3. What's the confidence scale with these upcoming 3 races ahead of us?
Well, I'm definitely gonna need some practice, for sure. I believe Rockingham is coming up, so I'll definitely need practice for that. And I'm especially looking forward to Texas since I believe I finished like 11th there. Plus that's a home track for me, so I always want to finish well over there at Texas. And I'm really looking forward to this season. I believe if I can keep this up, I could have a good run this season.
We love that confidence, and we want to see you succeed as well. Sam, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Well, first of all, I want to thank my family who is watching this right now. They've always been super supportive of me, always cheering me on and keeping my head up. And I also want to thank my teammates, Back Market Racing. I want to thank Josh, Tyler, and Martin. Sucks that Tyler had to leave early. And it was nice for... I was really happy for Josh, who got that win. So shout out to Josh there. He congrats, man. I don't know if you're watching this, but hell of a job there. And let's see. Also, shout out to my YouTube channel, of course. You might see a TikTok or YouTube of the wreck avoidances I've made throughout that whole race, because there was some like wrecks where I avoided that were just insane. I didn't even know how I made it through them. Let me see. Oh, I want to thank y'all for the broadcast as usual on Monday and Wednesdays. Appreciate y'all for doing that. And yeah, that's all I really have to say.
That will be your 8th place finisher here tonight, as well as our Whiplash SimCam's biggest mover of the race, of the 50 machine of Samuel Garcia. And you can see it on the side of his car. Go check out SG Racing to see the content that Sam's going to be posting. Congratulations, Sam, on this finish. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at Rockingham.
Thank you, guys.
As that will conclude our interviews here tonight. A wild up and down race. We needed overtime to clean it up, and it really didn't clean up fully until they crossed the line, where we got to see a first-time winner in the WSSR VRS Cup Series. He finished second at Daytona last season, but now he can say he is a winner. The 16 of Joshua Kanata is into victory lane, and joined this one with Larry Yingling in second place, Drew Jua third, fourth, Cody Reed involved in our first wreck of the day. He comes away with fourth. Shane Tarian up front all night long on the oldest set of tires. He comes away fifth. Sixth, we find David Medina, who had a very quiet night, but a solid finish for the 20 machine. Gavin Rogers comes away seventh. Our Whiplash SimCam's biggest mover, Samuel Garcia, eighth. Ninth is the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly, and Vincent Sora went from being up front leading this race to 10th. Richard, it was a wild up and down night, but man, it just gets even crazier when you look at the rest of the results here tonight.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's just super speedway racing for you, though, and a lot can happen. I mean, you have fast drivers that get wrecked out and end up in the back, and nothing they can do about it there. But Manazzi Major, 13th position, a newcomer to the series. Good to see him running up there in the high parts of the race. But I mean, some other drivers that just did not have a great night. I mean, Christopher Norris getting involved into a little situation with the 72 and then causing a wreck near the end of the race there. And then you've got those of the likes of Douglas Newbigging, one of our faster drivers here in WSSR as well. Just an unlucky night for him. So tough night for quite a few fast drivers, including Zach Hall down in the 40th position. But I mean, it's just the opening race. We still got a lot of races to go this season. We got Rockingham next week, and that's going to be a really fun short track racing style to watch.
It certainly will be, as it's also exciting the fact that we're back to our full schedule as we do 2 races a week, as we find ourselves Monday nights with the ISRC Truck Series that Larry Arts Productions crew puts on a fabulous race, and you don't want to miss its upcoming race Monday night. It is Talladega for the start of the chase. 12 drivers want to be hoisting that Season 8 championship, and it all starts at the Super Speedway, where it all change everything. You don't want to miss it. That's going to be our upcoming race. And then, like you said, Richard, next week, Rockingham, second race of the season. Crazy to think that we're already going to see our first quote-unquote short track. Some call it intermediate track. It's a mile in length, but it is certainly a tough track that the WSSR is heading to next week.
It is a very tough track, and it's still got the old surface on it as well, so it's a very bumpy track as well. I mean, I've found a lot of success on the outside lane at Rockingham, but we'll see what these drivers tend to find and see what works for them. So it's going to be a very wild race to watch. There's going to be a lot of action, very short track, but a lot of speed as well. So, I mean, if you thought this race had a lot of action, tune in next week, because Rockingham will definitely show off some great racing from these guys.
43 drivers showed up to race here tonight. We could be seeing even more showing up next week. I know some drivers missed out because they weren't able to show up, and we got those that are trying to sign up to even race in this series. Don't want to miss it. Rockingham's going to be a blast to call, but for tonight, we want to say thank you to those that watched with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer, as well for Robert Moyer Jr. and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for joining with us and spending your Wednesday evening. here on YouTube, as we cannot wait to see future races that we have for us next week. Rockingham, what does The Rock have? Do drivers that had great finishes here tonight carry that momentum, or will they have their downfall? We'll have to see next week for the WSSR VRS Cup Series. And if you can't wait until next week for more great racing action, don't worry, we got you covered. Monday night, more super speedway racing. It's the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. The chase begins. Who will start off on the right foot? You'll have to find out Monday night for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.